Top so bad I might do it just to spite you. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Spite me. Sting yourself.
You ready for the weekend? So good to be here with you. Hope you're doing well. Having some sinus issues today, but we'll get through all of this together here. We want to start off, though, if you're going outside, the weather outside so beautiful, and it's a great day for some baseball. The Braves have their home opener today. Starting pitch, 7:15 against the Kansas City Royals. This is some of the workout day that we have there. Let me tell you, our teams are spread out at Truist Park, and there is a lot of excitement. Here's what you can expect throughout the day. At 4 o'clock, it's the annual Braves walkthrough. That's when that starts. But then we also know that fans, you're encouraged to get there early as the lines and to line the streets to show some love to the players and the coaches. It is going to be a good day. Here's what you're seeing. This is a live look on your screen at Truist Park, a gorgeous Friday. March day, I almost said April, speeding us up a little bit in the year here. I'm going to slow us down just a little bit. We also know tonight there will be several ceremonies that will take place honoring 6 Braves alumni. We'll see a flyover from 4 F-35s from the 100 Fighter Squadron and a unit of the Alabama Air National Guard. Joe Torre will throw out the first pitch. And again, there is plenty of music. Of course, you have the food. There's going to be a DJ out there, and they're really going to get it started now. Okay, no secret here. The Braves weren't necessarily the best last time, but we're going to put all of that in the past. And tonight is going to start a new season, and we're going to speak a championship into existence here. So, of course, we'll have a live. Eli Jordan is out there now. Our Tyler Fingert is out there. Justin Felder's getting ready. We've sent Jonathan Stacy. We've had our morning crews out there as well. A lot of excitement. We'll take you into it a little later on in the day. What's on top of everybody's mind right now is DHS funding early this morning. Really a rare move that we saw the Senate voting in such early hours here to end partial the government shutdown. Here is what they have agreed to. We know that they have agreed to this would fund TSA, but it does not include funding for immigration and customs enforcement or border control. It also does not contain provisions that Democrats have been demanding for weeks to rein in President Trump's immigration crackdown as a condition of funding for the departments there. So this is a step forward here. Of course, we've been talking about those TSA lines. We're going to bring in Tanya Mendoza in just a couple of minutes. She's going to talk us through what we're seeing at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. But, you know, now this bill will head to the House. And right before we got here, I was doing some research. House GOP, so House Republicans, they are expected to reject this Senate DHS bill. So that will likely extend the government shutdown, something a lot of people don't want to hear. Thank you for joining us all across the country, but many of you here in Metro Atlanta in the Southeast. And we know it is spring break time. So you want to take your family somewhere, maybe to Florida, maybe out of the country. And this is not going to necessarily help, as we've seen a lot of TSA agents calling out there as well. However, we did see Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. He says, quote, Senate Democrats were clear, no blank check for lawless ICE and Border Patrol. He also says that they held the line. We also know no matter what happens here, again, we walked you through, this did pass in the Senate, but it's going to the House where it does not look like it will pass for GOP votes there. President Trump says he will pay TSA workers using emergency funds from the One Big Beautiful Bill. Now, if you thought, okay, maybe we've seen something like this before, that's because we have. We saw this similar thing happen as they pay the military during the last shutdown. I believe this is day number 40 in this government shutdown. So we'll check in on the airport in just a couple of minutes. In fact, we want to bring in Tanya Mendoza at our assignment desk. And Tanya, I know there's so many stories we're working on. Let's start at the airport when it comes to TSA wait times. It really is one of those things, you know, people online are saying, oh, we're being so dramatic, we're doing all of this. But it's one of those things where it depends on what time you get there. It can change within 5-10 minutes at that airport.
That's right. Because this morning when I woke up, and I'm sure when you woke up and you looked at the TV screen, the lines were out the door. When I talked to Tara Jabor a little while ago, that's our reporter at the airport, she said that they were manageable at this point. She did say that she saw ICE agents and they were scanning IDs. So for people who were wondering if they can actually scan IDs, she said she saw that happening with her own eyes. And she also said that there was a high call-out rate today for TSA agents. However, when she was talking to people at the airport today, it seemed that agents and workers said they were a little more hopeful because of what's going on in D.C. today. So let's hope that this gets resolved quickly for everyone's sake, because spring break is around the corner, and next week and the following week the lines will probably continue to grow.
So many people, in such tragedy or such hard times like this, we've really seen community members coming together. Walk us through, we've seen some of our reporters go out and do stories of community food banks and discounts there. Walk us through what we're seeing when it comes to just people coming together and supporting each other, and those hardworking TSA who they just want to make ends meet. Bills are due and they have families to feed as well.
That's right. I believe yesterday that we sent Eric Lenn over to the Atlanta Police Department. I don't know if it was a union, but there was a group of Atlanta Police Department representing APD that offered TSA workers food. They were feeding them. And I was told that at one point the line was out the door at a certain point. I think that was going on from 10 to 2. And today, I believe it's the Atlanta Community Food Bank that's having an event as well to help out TSA agents while they go through this and while they're not getting paid. There has been other people, who have reached out wanting to help, but there are strict rules. I think that helping the agents out may need to go through the union because they're not allowed to accept anything directly.
Yeah, Tanya, you make a good point there. We're going to bring in a live image. This is Houston's airport there. I consider Houston Atlanta's cousin to the west of us here. So this is a live look at their airport and the lines that are snaking around there. Of course, we'll continue to follow this in the TSA. Hopefully, many of them, they just want to make sure that they get ends meet. Okay, we're going to have to take a sad turn here. Last night, we confirmed here in the newsroom that there was a fire near McDonough, and now we know a 2-year-old was killed in that. What can you tell us?
That's right. So last night around 4:41 p.m., Henry County 911 received reports of a townhome fire in the McDonough area at a townhome on Levante Parkway. Family members alerted crews that a child was trapped in a specific upstairs bedroom. A 4-person squad conducted a targeted search while a 3-person engine crew provided an interior fire attack. Firefighters successfully located and removed the child from the room. Despite immediate life-saving efforts on the scene and at Piedmont Henry Hospital, the victim tragically succumbed to their injuries. And this morning, the medical examiner in Henry County did identify that child as 2-year-old Demetrius Dillard. Very sad news coming out of Henry County today.
Yeah, I was texting back and forth with the Henry County Fire Rescue, their PIO, last night. They say that 2-year-old was on the 2nd floor. The family, unfortunately, couldn't get to that 2-year-old, and unfortunately, that baby did not survive. I know we sent Angelique Proctor down there. She's since moved, but hopefully we can find some family. If there's anything that we can do to help that family during this time, hopefully she can pass that information along to us. All right, this is a story that made national headlines, Tanya, when we were actually here on a 1 p.m. stream together, I believe, when we saw agents going inside the Fulton County Elections Office. This is some video of that incident happen. Tony Thomas, who works with the FBI, and this is Rod Pitts right here, and some surveillance. Walk us through what's happening today with the federal judge.
Okay, so there's an evidentiary hearing that started this morning at 10 a.m. at the Richard B. Russell Federal Building. Basically, this is in front of Judge J.P. Boulay, and two tandem cases, which is Rob Pitts versus the U.S. Fulton County and NAACP versus the United States. This all centers around that raid that you're talking about, and the 656 boxes of original 2020 election records that were seized by the federal government via search warrant on January 28th, I believe. So all of that is going down right now. I believe each side had 2 hours to argue its case. Our Ray Yedena is out there, and we have photographer Michael Moore outside. Ray's inside the courtroom. He'll have updates for us later when he can get out. But as you know, Eric, you cannot have cameras inside the federal courthouse. So we did hire a courtroom artist, and she actually, if you come back to me, I don't know if you can see behind me, I'll pull up the pictures. She just sent some pictures from the sketch artist that we got from court. So here's one of them right now. Hopefully we'll have updates on that case soon. Once Ray gets out, he'll call the newsroom and give an update to our web team, and they'll get that story online as soon as possible, and probably in the stream at 2 or 3 as well.
Yeah, this will take quite some time because Cal Calloway, one of our managing editors here, was talking about each side has 2.5 hours there. When this happened, Rob Pitts, the chairman, he's been very vocal in criticizing that the raid, he says it was politically motivated. So it'll be interesting. I'm pretty sure, knowing Rob Pitts here, and he is up for re-election, I'm sure he will talk with the NAACP at some point outside of that courtroom. It'll be interesting to see if lawyers for the Justice Department, if they will have any type of statements or anything like that. All right, Tanya, it is a busy day. We'll check back in if anything breaks. Thanks so much. Happy Friday. All right, this is a live look. Sandy Springs, the King and Queen building, a gorgeous day outside. We want to bring in, you're probably the man of the week because the weather is just so nice. We can't make you the bad guy. We always have to find somebody. But this is probably a time where we might want a little bit of rain to wash away some of the pollen out there.
And the soil needs it, and the humans need it as well, because folks are really going crazy over these allergies that are exacerbated by the extremely high pollen counts that we've had. And I think they're going to probably get worse before they get better. But here's the deal. I don't have any significant rain chances in the forecast. And today's certainly not it, although I will give you a 10% shot at a random shower before we say so long to this final Friday of March. The current temperature is almost 80 degrees here in town. You've already made it 80 in Athens, 82 in Eaton. Ultimately, we'll post high temperatures about 5 or 6 degrees warmer than we are at this moment, which will land us some 10 to 15 degrees above average area-wide. In fact, maybe 16 degrees above average here in town today. 85 degrees Atlanta. The average high for this time of the year is 69 degrees, so we are definitely outdoing ourselves. It is time to play some baseball if you're going out to the park, the Battery, wherever you may be. If you are going to be a part of the festivities as the Braves kick off their home opener of the season, you're going to find that the weather is going to be fair. 81 degrees at first pitch, 7:15, and then we'll drop into the 70s after that. And there's something that you cannot see here on the graphic that you need me to tell you about, and that is the wind. The winds are going to have a bite to them. They're going to be gusty, and at times we could get gusts up near 30 miles an hour. So the breezes will be alive and well. We'll even keep some breezes around into Saturday, but those breezes are an indication that some air masses are trading spaces. And we're going to swap the warm air mass of today out with a cooler air mass of tomorrow, and therefore temperatures literally 24 hours later, from 7:15 to 7:15 Saturday evening, we're looking at a 16-degree drop in numbers. So we'll start out with first pitch at 81 today, tomorrow 65. It will be fairly brisk out there. The sun sets just before the 8 o'clock hour. So if you are going out to the park tomorrow, maybe long sleeves or a light jacket would be a better idea than not. Still fairly chilly on Sunday. Obviously, Sunday's game starts much earlier than the two games upcoming for the season, but nonetheless, it's going to be starkly different between Friday and then the weekend, that is Saturday and Sunday. Overall, rain chances, well, they're just not in the forecast. A slightly better chance as we get into Thursday of next week, but we are in desperate need of rainfall, but I just don't see any real seismic changes in the overall pattern that will break this dry trend.
And you're heading out there tonight.
Tonight, I'm on my way as soon as I leave this set.
All right. Well, we won't hold you up. We'll see you a little bit later. Jonathan, have some fun out there. Gorgeous weather to play some baseball. We're always talking baseball. When we come back, we'll check in with Eli Jordan. He's in the festivities and the fun of it all. You're watching Fox Local at 1 p.m. We'll be right back. Hey there, welcome back on this Friday. Of course, the big story of the day, let's play some ball. This is Georgia's credit union there. Those signs so iconic to the Atlanta skyline here, as well as the home opener is 7:15 today. Let's get out to our Eli Jordan. By the way, before we talk to Eli, we want to mention we're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. So if you have a comment or a question about any of the stories, we want you to come on into the conversation, make this a two-way interaction here. That's what makes the local and the stream so cool here. But let's bring in Eli Jordan. You're out there. I see you with your hat. I see the people behind you. They're trickling in. Walk us through. And I just am curious, what does it feel like? What is that energy like out there at Truist Park?
Well, Eric, as Pete Rose said, opening day is a lot like Christmas, but warmer. That's what it's a lot like. I mean, and DiMaggio says, you feel like something glorious is going to happen today. That's the feeling. I'm not a baseball fan, but I can definitely feel the energy here. And, this is 60 years that Atlanta has had the Braves. And the Braves, 60 years, that's the longest a franchise has stayed in one town. Arguably, it's the Braves. But they've been here at Truist Park for just under a decade now. But everybody's, Truist Park has kicked things up. The battery's happening. They got a lot of tweaks going on for their 60 years of being in existence here in Atlanta. They got a big night coming up. I'm going to flip this around so you can see what's going on in front of me here. But yeah, they got they're going to have spring value tickets going on for select games in April and May, and those are going to be $10 each. And they're also going to have some bobbleheads throughout the season. So keep up with that. And there's going to be all sorts of different things going on with tonight. With Joe Torre's going to be in there. You're throwing out the first pitch. Dale Murphy will be there. Chipper Jones will be there. There's going to be fireworks. It's a very big night tonight against the Kansas City Royals for the home opener, season opener here at Truist Park for the Braves and their 60th year in Atlanta. And I spoke with one Braves fan here at the Battery, and this is what he had to say.
We are super excited. I'm here with my wife in the background here, but we are tremendously excited to be at the game today. We're A-list members, so we are here pretty much most of the season, and we're ready to, really rock on and celebrate the Braves home opener.
And so there's the 60 years of the Braves this season, marked 60 years here in Atlanta. have you noticed a little uptick with the battery or over in Truist Park or anything, pumping it up a notch?
I mean, we definitely have. Over the last few years, we've been A-list members for 3 or 4 years now. So we've seen some changes even over the last 3 or 4 years that they continue to listen to fans and they make improvements on the park and the environment. And we love coming down here and celebrating.
Last question. Got a prediction for tonight's game?
Hey, go Braves.
Go Braves, yeah, you heard it. And, they're going to have like a block party atmosphere out here for the home games. And, they're going to have, on Friday nights, they're going to have theme nights. They're going to have, let's say, 80s night. We're going to have Star Wars night, HBCU night, Patriots Day, and Friday night fireworks. So it's going to be a lot of fun out here. Like I said, their 60th anniversary of being here in Atlanta, and they're going to do it right this season and just pump things up a notch here at the Battery and at Truist Park with fireworks and just all sorts of theme nights. And even the concessions have been kicked up a lot. So they're going to have different menu selection inside the park, and you can go check them out. And that's what's going on here. I'll be out here all day and chatting with fans as they arrive, and you can see it starting to slowly pick up a little bit of people here getting more crowded more and more as the day goes on, getting after lunch, people taking their half days from work and easing on out here and grabbing their late lunch, I guess, and getting their drink on and ready for this game tonight at 7 o'clock against the Kansas City Royals. Eric Perry, back to you.
I mean, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's one of those things to where people are just getting out.
That's
it's so
right.
Beautiful outside. And I see, what is parking like? Normal parking? I mean, all those people that will be coming in, I'm sure around 4 or 5 o'clock is going to be a much different scene out there, Eli.
Yeah, I mean, it is be a much different scene, but this year they have a pedestrian bridge crossing Circle 75 from Lot 9 and surrounding parking areas. So they have this new pedestrian bridge to help us, keep the traffic flowing on the surface while the pedestrians can walk over the bridge, walk over the traffic. So that's new this year. But yes, it will be, as always, any big event here in Atlanta, there will be traffic and it will be, a slight headache for parking. But I say get here early, like a lot of the people here are, and enjoy some of the food and some of what the Battery has to offer, and you can have a good time. This is a good place to be, to hang out on a Friday in such beautiful weather. Nice little breeze. It's not too hot. Get out here before it gets too hot later on in the year.
Yeah, it looks absolutely gorgeous out there. I'm sure it's going to be so much fun. Eli Jordan out there. Of course, we have all of our teams spread out throughout their day. Justin Felder will be out there a little bit later. Our Tyler Fingert is already out there, just spread around talking to different people. So we'll check back in throughout the newscast at the 2-3 p.m. streaming hours, and of course on Fox 5 as well. All right, let's take a turn now. Food insecurity is really a major issue across the country, but here in Metro Atlanta, families, as they head into spring break, Kroger is giving food back in a community food bank and a food drive. It's called the Hunger Never Takes a Break, and that's so key because many children depend on the lunches and food that they get at school in order to survive. Our Elise Edie talked this morning with a representative with Kroger about how you at home
children than folks realize. So this really is the perfect thing for Kroger to step in and try to help out, Tammy.
Yes, without a doubt. Over 500,000 children in Georgia are food insecure. So we decided at Kroger to further our Zero Hunger, Zero Waste mission to host a Hunger Never Takes a Break during the week prior to spring break.
Very nice. So for those who, they're kind of like, well, why is spring break such an important time to do this? Let's dive into that. I mean, it's critical. You think about kids not having access to school meals, right?
That's correct. Most kids really rely on those school meals. And so when school is out, not having that reliable resource is could be a very damaging situation. So we've decided that joining with our associates and our customers and our partners, that doing a food drive for non-perishable food items would be a great way to extend those resources so that kids can really enjoy their time out of school during spring break.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, even the name here, Hunger Never Takes a Break. It really does say it all. So you mentioned these non-perishable food items. Y'all have made it super easy. There's a list of things you recommend. Can you walk us through some of those items?
So items that kids really enjoy are really easy for them to access and utilize, like ramen, maybe canned pastas. Peanut butter and jelly is always a great. Fruit cups, applesauce, even some breakfast items, energy bars, breakfast bars. Having access to things like instant grit and oatmeal are great ways for kids to be able to sustain themselves during the spring break time.
Yeah, easy things that you would want if you were a kid. You know, I think that's a good way to think about it, right? Things that you would want. So how can we give? How can we donate these items, Tammy?
So from today through Sunday, customers can shop in our stores and donate those items in bins that are located throughout our store in our front end area of the store. There is a table that kind of gives customers ideas about things that they can buy. And when they're taking advantage of their buy one, get one free, they can buy one and drop one off for a kid in need.
Oh, that's pretty perfect. And that makes this even easier, too. You know, I love the idea, though, of having a food drive at a grocery store. You're there anyway. So you couldn't have made this easier for us, Tammy.
So yes, we definitely want to make it easy for our customers, their shopping experience to be easy, but definitely an easy opportunity to do something good for someone else.
You know, there's always folks you wonder where this food goes. I mean, what's the setup there? How do you then get the food that people are going to donate this weekend and get it into the hands and the bellies that need it the most?
So daily, we partner with our food rescue partners through many food banks throughout our state. Also, we have partnerships with some local schools and organizations. So depending on the store location, the food may go directly to a partner school that has a school pantry. If the school pantry doesn't exist for that particular store, food may go to a nonprofit organization that works in conjunction with Kroger to partner with schools that are supporting pantries. And then if that's not an opportunity, the food will be picked up by our rescue partners and then able to be distributed out into the community so families will be able to access it in that way.
Tammy, do we have a goal here, or is it just as much as humanly possible that we're able to raise?
The goal is always as much as humanly possible.
Very nice. You know, I can imagine that for you and your job, you get to do a lot of rewarding things, but you talk about something like this that's making such a huge difference in the community, especially in the life of a child. I can imagine that feels pretty rewarding on your end.
Yes, without a doubt. At Kroger, our purpose is to feed the human spirit. And so it really feels good when we're able to come together with our associates, with our community, and with our organizational partners to do just that, feed the human spirit.
Okay, so if you're out and about doing your grocery shopping like you know you need to anyway this weekend, then it's a perfect opportunity to pick up some of these items and to give. It's going to some kids right in your community. So Tammy joining us today to tell us all about it. Thank you so much, and it's on. Let's raise as much food as we can for these kids.
Thank you, Lise.
Yes, of course. Thank you for sharing this with us. And you can give back at Kroger's Hunger Never Takes a Break food drive now through Sunday. All you have to do is donate a kid-friendly, non-perishable food item during your next shopping trip. I'm putting this on my list because I got to go to Kroger. And to learn more about Kroger's Zero Hunger, Zero Waste initiative, just head to our website, fox5atlanta.com, and look under the Good Days section. Certainly will make spring break brighter for some kids.
All right, that was Elise Edie. So easy to do. Just go to Kroger and donate. Of course, always you can go to fox5atlanta.com for the latest information. When we come back, we'll talk about some trending stories and some other big stories happening across the country. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's 1:30. Thanks for joining us through Fox 5 News Live here in this 1 p.m. hour. If you're joining us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you're joining us, you can comment if you have something to say about a story or a question for us. We're monitoring it, and we welcome you into this conversation. We're going to get you started with, of course, what's been on top of everyone's mind, especially here in Atlanta. This is a live look at the wait times, and this is such a relief for so many people who are traveling out the main checkpoint here. It's fluctuating up and down. The airport officials are encouraging you to get here at least 4 hours ahead of time because you just don't know. It'll look like this right now, then around 5, 6 o'clock, it might look like something else. We also have a shot in Houston just to show you a little comparison there. In the Houston airport, the lines are a little longer. People are waiting for quite some time. Yesterday evening, we also saw lines quite long. Some of them were outside of the door, but it's one of those things to where you just don't know. What did Forrest Gump say? It's like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get there. Some other stories. Wanted to update you. We brought you this story earlier this week on Wednesday. I went out to a church in DeKalb County. They had over 100 tires dumped there. This is some video there. So this is the second time. We told you about this last week. The pastor, we were there, 50-something tires were dumped. They were able to get it cleaned up. Then this past weekend, they came back inside or to this church, and this is what they found. They believe maybe even up to 300 to 400 tires dumped here. The good news is they talked with county officials, with the CEO, Lorraine Cochran Johnson. This is one of her initiatives, beautification, illegal dumping. She's really against the illegal dumping. She is for the beautification here in DeKalb County, and thankfully we were able to get them some help. He sent me a text yesterday saying that they were able to get all of those tires removed for free. The county worked with them. So really good here, especially as we lead up to a busy time when it comes to Easter. I want to sneak this story in really quick. Power outages this morning. If you lived in Midtown Atlanta, we don't have any video to show you of this, but about 5,000 people this morning woke up with no power. Once one of our people in production, they live in Midtown Atlanta. We're talking from Courier Street to 11th Street between Peachtree and Piedmont. So there are a lot of high rises there, a lot of businesses that are in there. One of our directors who lives in the area of 8th and Juniper Street said he heard a loud bang. We believe there was some sort of construction, transformer blew. Thankfully, they worked really hard to get a lot of that power back on. So by 10 o'clock, they had most of the power restored there. But, you're waking up in the dark. You might think, did I pay my bill? Yes, you paid your bill. It's not in your hands, and power should be restored to you as well. All right. The Iran war there, something that's been going on and a lot of people have been thinking about. This is our President Trump here. The latest that we know, President Trump says he's making another big push for peace in Iran, even as the airstrikes continue and plans for a possible ground offensive take shape. So Thursday, the president said negotiations are going well and said that he has extended the deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. That is where a lot of the oil in the tankers are going through, which is causing a lack of oil, which is why we're seeing some of the gas prices going up. Well, the Iranians are telling a different story, saying, quote, that there have been no talks and that they're still considering, in quotation marks, the president's 15-point plan. Well, today, officials in Israel threatened to, quote, escalate and expand their attacks on regime targets. The Pentagon says they're reportedly preparing to deploy 10,000 more service members there to the Middle East. Right now, we don't really know what their role will be. Iran showing no signs of backing down. Well, President Trump says that Iran must reopen the Strait of Hormuz by April the 6th. Many people are wondering, who are they sending on the ground over there? What are we looking at? Here's what I've been able to find out for you at home, including the 86th Airborne Division Marine Expeditionary Units to the Middle East. They're sending those around 10,000 more soldiers. We're also seeing 3,000 paratroopers there. We're seeing Marine units, 2,500 to 5,000, including amphibious forces. So we're seeing a lot of different forces that are going over that are being deployed. I also just saw an alert coming in from Secretary of State there. He is saying, Marco Rubio says that U.S., quote, can achieve Iran war objectives without any ground troops. So, of course, this is a big talker that a lot of people are talking about here. Of course, we'll continue to keep you updated. Here's something that I know really got me frustrated when I saw it. Rising prices when it comes to Netflix. It is going up yet again. So now if you have the basic plan like myself, $8.99 a month. Look, it's getting pretty steep out there, okay? If you want the ad-free subscriptions, it's $2 up, so now you're up to $19.99. If you have a premium package for Netflix, it's up to around $24.99. I'm not sure exactly what all comes in a premium package of Netflix. That's the supreme level. Maybe you get to talk to the actors or something that makes it worth that type of money. The price hike comes as Netflix is investing heavily, they say, in their content, including new ventures into the live event space and into the podcast. I know I listen to The Breakfast Club, the radio show in the morning time, and that is something that we've been able to see there on Netflix. They have some sort of a deal. So we're seeing a lot of the live elements there. You know, if you're a Beyonce fan, we saw during Christmas time for Cowboy Carter, they had the game on there and the halftime show, which brought in a lot of people. So I'm sure that's a lot of money that is going out. But hey, if you are like me, you already have a subscription, you'll get some sort of an email before your next it comes out of your account. And if you're signing up, you'll already see those new prices. It has been months since Savannah Guthrie's mom, Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old in Tucson, Arizona, was last seen. And now we know that Savannah Guthrie plans to make a return to the Today Show. Earlier this week, we saw some emotional interviews. This is a video of her as she visited the Rockefeller Center there in Times Square in New York. That's Hoda, who retired. She's been filling in, but we now know Savannah Guthrie plans to make that return to the Today Show Monday, April 6th. It's going to be such an emotional time. Still no word of where her mom is. We're all praying for a safe return. Savannah Guthrie in her interview is holding on that she might not think that her mom is still with us on this earth, but she still, of course, wants to find the body and remains, and really just so many unanswered questions in this. We are wishing her the best and strength as she goes back to work there. Some of those stories that we have been following for you. We want to bring in Joyce with our digital team who's tracking some of the talkers and things that are happening this weekend. Of course, we are seeing rumblings of a big No Kings protest. We've seen them in the past, Joyce, but this seems like more people are mobilizing and that we will see a lot, especially here across Metro Atlanta.
Yes, there are actually thousands of No King protests planned across the country, and there's probably a couple of hundred planned here in the state of Georgia. So some of the locations are going to be like downtown Atlanta, Marietta, Sandy Springs, Smyrna, probably out in Norcross. They're all over the Metro Atlanta area. In addition to the protests, a couple of them are going to have like marches following the protests or as part of the protests. You know, for example, downtown, they are going to march to the state capitol. So we did get a statement from Atlanta Police yesterday who said that they were going to have extra officers out on the streets. And I'm sure like the police departments in the other towns are probably planning to do something similar. And they are also warning people that like traffic is probably going to be kind of bad in those areas. So if you're not like part of the protests and you want to avoid it, then you might want to try to just take a different route or whatever. So anyway, we do have like all this information on our website, and we have like a link that goes to their website that, you know, so that people can make plans, whether they want to attend or if they just want to avoid the area. But, you know, this is definitely happening tomorrow. We're going to have quite a few people working tomorrow that normally don't work, just so that we can go out there and, you know, cover it and make sure that we're keeping everybody informed about any potential, you know, problems, you know, even if it's just traffic. So we'll be doing that tomorrow on Fox Local for people who want to keep up with what's happening with the protest.
Yeah, Joyce, I know you mentioned the marches. I just want to mention, I'm looking at some of them now, just for those if you're driving or if you want to attend those. The downtown one, Memorial Drive, Greenway on Martin Luther King Drive. So anywhere around the Capitol, that's probably going to be a major one. In DeKalb County, they're looking at the North Lake Festival Shopping Center. And we know when we saw this back in June, up to 10,000 people as well. Like you said, 2,000 around across the country, and we'll be here to monitor it tomorrow. All right, can we get to some news? I don't know if I want to say cute because we're talking about a crocodile, but hey, why not, right? Cute to somebody.
Right? I think he's kind of cute for a crocodile. So it's actually a critically endangered Siamese crocodile, and he just moved to Atlanta. He is actually at Zoo Atlanta, and he came here about a month ago from Florida, but now he's like all settled in, and they've got him on display or on exhibit. So like you can go down there and see him. So I was kind of like researching this a little bit, and these Siamese crocodiles, like they almost went as extinct back in like the 1990s, but you know, now of course there's been efforts to make sure that doesn't happen, and also to preserve their natural habitats so that they can survive both out in the wild and in the zoos. So like I said, he got here about a month ago, and he's on display now at Zoo Atlanta if you want to go down there and say hi. Oh, his name is Sing. I forgot to mention that. His name is Sing. So if you go down there, make sure you say, hi, Sing.
Do we know how old this crocodile is?
He is fairly young, but they did not give us an exact age, but they did say that he was young.
Okay. I mean, the zoo is just one of the places we heard from Jonathan earlier is going to be absolutely beautiful this weekend, minus the pollen. What are some other things that we can do if you want to get out, take the family, or just enjoy the weekend?
Oh, yeah, the weather is going to be fabulous. And we have a huge, huge list of things to do on our website. So, for example, downtown Kennesaw is actually kicking off their 2026 summer concert series with Night Ranger. So that is happening tonight. It's like a totally free concert. It's in their little park right there in the middle of downtown Kennesaw. And you can take like your blanket and your chair, and you can go down there and just hang out and listen to some really cool music from the 80s. Also, you know, Easter, that's coming up very soon, and a lot of different organizations, churches, what have you, they are going to actually be kicking off, you know, the festivities or celebrations this weekend with like egg hunts and stuff. So we probably have a list with a couple of dozen egg hunts that's happening all over, you know, Metro Atlanta. In addition to like some dining specials too, if you just don't want to cook like on Easter and would rather go out somewhere, quite a few restaurants have sent us their information. So you can find all that information, things to do, you know, just, you know, for the family, live music, whatever, and also a list of Easter stuff. And both of those are linked on our homepage. It's really super easy to find.
Joyce, are you a cooker for Easter? You know, Easter is the time of the ham and the pot roast and all of that delicious stuff. Are you a cooker, or do you go out to eat?
Well, now I kind of go out to eat. I used to be like when my kids were at home and all that, but now that it's basically just kind of me, I usually try to find somebody's house that I can go to.
Yeah, so many Easter traditions. I'm thinking about getting some friends together and dyeing eggs just with us as well. We're scrolling some of the different things that you can see on our website, fox5atlanta.com. Joyce, happy Friday. Thanks so much for filling us in.
Thank you.
All right, perfect. All right, so we've been talking about Truist Park all throughout the newscast as it is a big day, 7:15, the first pitch here in Cobb County. But there's so much more to do, especially behind the scenes. We're taking you into what's new, what you can expect with the family. As I'm telling you, the Braves are going to bring it home with a championship ring this season, speaking it into existence. Well, Paul Milliken got a special look at what you can expect to get out and have some fun with the family at Truist Park.
Hey, everybody, the modeling at Threads continues. If you were watching a little bit earlier, I was trying on my first jacket. I love this jacket, but then I put on this one, and now I feel powerful and ready for opening day. We're hanging out at Truist Park right now in the brand new location of Threads, which is the very cool kind of streetwear collection with the Atlanta Braves. And, of course, the VP of Retail, Lisa, always works so hard to get the best stuff in. How excited are you for today?
Oh, we are so excited. It's finally here.
It's finally here. And okay, scale of 1 to 10. I asked you this before. I'm going to ask again. In this jacket, 10 being best you've ever seen. How am I looking?
Okay, so this one's a 12.
A 12. Okay, we have raised the bar, people. I love it. Well, let's talk about Threads. So again, this is a really unique collection. You collab with designers to create these looks, right?
We do, and we do a lot with social influencers, with our players.
Yeah.
So we definitely have a wonderful in-house team here that does a lot of it. But it's just fun and it's bright and it's different.
I know. It looks so good. The colors are beautiful. And this is a different location this year.
Yes, we are in the Ballpark versus being out in the Battery, Atlanta.
Right.
So we are now located by Left Field Gate.
Yeah.
And we're open on game days only.
Yeah.
But fans can follow us on social media and see all the latest and greatest and still place orders through us like before.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's on the Left Field Gate side, right next to Truist Park.
And I got to say, I feel like everything has kind of a 90s vibe this year. Am I seeing that correctly?
You are. It is 90s is back in a big way.
Yes.
And so there's lots of 90s throwbacks. My favorite, he's looking at over in that corner, the 95 World Series.
I know. That is so cool looking.
Yes. I mean, I remember that. And the hat that is up there is actually the locker room hat that the team wore after winning. Yeah, it's a replica of that hat. Yeah.
Well, and that's perfect because this year is the 60th anniversary of Braves baseball in Atlanta. So it's like celebrating that legacy.
100%.
Yeah,
Yes,
cool.
yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. This is one location where people can buy great gear, but it's not the only location. So at Truist Park, you've got several shopping destinations. What else is out there for us?
Yes, so definitely check out our main clubhouse store. Right Field Gate is open non-game days, 7 days a week. Today we're open to the public until 3:30, and then we're open again tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So that's, of course, everybody's got to stop at the main clubhouse store.
Yeah.
But we also are opening South End Trading Company this year, which is our brand new Authentics game used memorabilia store.
Yeah.
And it is unlike anything you've seen before. We had one last year, but we have also moved locations, so it's right across from our main clubhouse store, and it's going to have everything memorabilia, autographed items, game used items. If fans come to a game and they want a base from that game or a game used baseball from that game, they can take it home with them that night.
That is amazing. I have to think fans have been wanting this for a long time.
Well, we've had it, and that's the thing. We've had a store here, but fans have we were tucked in a corner, and so now you can't miss it. And the best thing, it's one of my most favorite, when the balls get up to our store, there's this little neon light that's right outside, and we're going to flip that switch on, and that light comes on, and fans are going to know the baseballs are here.
Oh, that is so cool. I love it, making it a full experience for the fans. So I know you are so excited to get this season underway and just get people into these stores, shopping and repping the Braves,
We so are. We have missed our fans so much. They're the best in baseball. We cannot wait to get them back in the building.
Yeah, well, you guys are the best. And again, this Threads collection, every year you make it better and better. So thanks for letting us be here. Can I go shopping now, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I want you all to come with me for a minute because I'm looking for a brand new Braves hat. I get a new hat every season. I love to have a new hat to rep. I'm kind of obsessed with this hat right here. It's got that beachy feel. You see some palm trees there. It's almost like you're in Hawaii, but you're repping the Braves. So I love the way that looks. That's a definite possibility, but then come with me if you would. We got some more over here that are so cool. So first of all, I love a patterned hat. Isn't that amazing? That is such a cool Braves hat. Love that. And this one, look at that beadwork. I mean, come on. It does not get any better than this. So I need you all to help me out. You tell me which hat to get this year, and you'll see me all over town in my jacket, my hat, looking Braves ready. Go Braves.
Looking, that jacket is nice, and I'm into my hat season as well. So I should have put my order in with Paul Milliken so you can bring some back to the station there. Again, you're taking a look. This is Truist Park as you're getting ready. 7:15, the first pitch, but families, you're welcome to go out there before then. There's so many events, DJs, music. We were talking through that package there. A lot of us were saying that the drinks there at Truist Park, of course, if you're legal age to drink, they have some good drinks out there. So a little something for the entire family as well. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. I want to sneak in this comment someone put under that. We were talking about the pollen a little bit. They said Atlanta looks like it's been sprinkled with lemon pepper. Hey, it is our official seasoning on the way to be voted in by our House and Senate there. Why not? But we need a little bit of water or something to wash that pepper and sprinkling and seasoning away. Well, it is a season. A lot of times life can be overwhelming and the stress. And how do you manage some of that? We want to check in. Joanne Feldman earlier talked with the licensed psychologist, Dr. Rachel Goldman, to walk us through some tips and tricks of how to handle some of that stress.
Really interesting. Explain exactly what a stress body image cycle is, and how can we recognize this? What does it actually look like in everyday life?
Yeah, so what most people don't realize is that the mind-body connection is real, and things that we think can impact our bodies and vice versa. Our body gives us signals all day, every day, but because we're constantly on the go, we tend to ignore those messages. So what that means is when we're thinking about our bodies and how we feel in our bodies or our body image, things like an unhelpful thought or stress can actually directly impact our feelings towards ourselves because it's all related. So I'll give you an example. Say we wake up in the morning and, the first thing we do is maybe check our email or we're scrolling on social media. Maybe that comparison trap already begins. And then we look in the mirror. And now we're like, oh, I'm already in this kind of negative headspace because maybe I unconsciously was comparing myself to somebody else. You look at yourself and now you see yourself actually through a stress lens as opposed to the real image and the real lens that you would be seeing if you just kind of, were going through your day without that added stressor. So those hidden triggers really could be social media, comparison, like I said, or even busy schedules, just constantly being on the go and not taking the time to really pause and check in with ourselves.
Okay, yeah, and that's very interesting because I feel like all of these examples you gave are something that we can really relate to. But sort of beyond those specific examples, do you have thoughts on why we might be so quick to turn on ourselves when we're overwhelmed?
Yeah, it's just easy to, right? Like it's so easy to be harsh, unfortunately, and to kind of give ourselves those self-critical thoughts. And the reason is because our brain is actually wired for survival. And what that means is that our brain takes in all of these messages all day, every day. And I like to think of it as noise. There's a lot of noise going on, if that's social media, if that's friends and family, if that's, walking the kids to school and seeing other people. Our brains then take that and they try to interpret it in a way that's going to help us be protective, like to protect us from survival. So the first thought that our brain kind of spits out at us, so to say, from all those messages is going to be something actually not helpful in the way that it's helpful for survival, but not helpful in the day that we live today, like the modern day that we're living. So for instance, our brain is going to say, you're not going to get that job, or, it's going to like kind of zoom in on the flaw, because what it thinks is if you're aware of it, you can quickly fix it. So then nobody else sees it in a way. So our brains are wired for survival in a way to protect us, but we have to be able to identify that, or we get caught up in this vicious, horrible, negative cycle. And it's, the good news is because things are learned, we can pause and then relearn or kind of learn new things that are going to work better for us in today's modern age.
Yeah, so it sounds like, the first step is recognizing that this is happening in the first place. But, ultimately, what do we do? I know you have some practical tools that can kind of reset us pretty quickly in the moment.
Exactly. And as you just said, the first step is to recognize that this is happening. And I like to even say to remind people that thoughts are just thoughts. They're not facts. So, and we can examine the evidence in terms of that as well. Like, okay, where's the evidence that everybody else is going to notice this, right? Where's the evidence that everybody's staring at me? Or where's the evidence that, this is true? Most of the time, there really is not that much evidence. So we can say, okay, that's just a thought. And thoughts actually pass. They're temporary. But we can identify this is just a thought. Once we identify that, we can take that pause and then be like, what do I need right now? What's a more helpful thought? We don't want to completely switch to the opposite, more extreme positive side, because that might also be unrealistic and setting us up for failure. But we can say, what's a more neutral, grounding thought? Or we can just kind of pause, take a breath, reground ourselves. And again, because our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are all linked, we're going to be able to feel better, and then that's then going to change the next action by either intervening at the thought or the behavior.
And before we run out of time here, I want to get a chance to talk about your new book coming out. You're an author, When Life Happens. Tell us what readers can expect from it. And
Goodman talking about the stress and that type of thing as well. Thanks so much for joining us for this 1 p.m. streaming hour there. Not sure what exactly happened, but hey, that is why we are on the stream together. We are family. Things happen and we work through them together. Ariel Onstott coming up next to take it over. I'm going to pass the wave on to her. We'll be right back.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here at 2 o'clock. We've got a lot to talk about today. And of course, it is Friday. A lot of us are ready for the weekend. And this weekend's extra special because it comes with the Braves kicking off their 60th season tonight at Truist Park. So let's get out to our Tyler Fingert, who joins us live from Truist Park. Tyler, I feel like you got a sweet assignment today. You're inside Truist Park. Catch us up to speed with what is happening this evening.
Yeah, it is a big season ahead for the Atlanta Braves. It is the 60th season that they have been in Atlanta, and so they're going to be doing a lot of different things over the course of this 2026 MLB season to be able to showcase that and highlight that. And tonight is actually a theme night to honor that 60th anniversary here in Atlanta. But we are still 5 hours away from first pitch here at Truist Park. But a lot of people are already here. We're actually inside the clubhouse store inside Truist Park. You can see a lot of folks are trying to buy that new fresh gear, so they are ready for tonight. We have been seeing a lot of Braves gear already, but people want to be able to stock up and be able to have the stuff that they may want for tonight's game. We have also been seeing a lot of kids playing on the lawn outside the Chop House gate. I have to say, we could not have picked a more perfect day for the Braves opening day. The sun is out as the temperature slowly rises. It feels great here right now, and for many fans, being here is tradition. They told us they wouldn't miss opening day for anything. Many have gotten here extremely early. We started talking to people about 10 a.m. this morning, long before the first pitch will be thrown tonight. And again, gates don't even open until 4:30 this afternoon. So we're still, 2.5 hours away from getting inside the actual ballpark. But one of the most anticipated events today ahead of first pitch will be actually Braves Walk, where fans will be able to line the streets of the Battery to get up close to their favorite players inside the park. The Braves are doing a theme night, as I mentioned, to celebrate the 60 years since their move to Atlanta. As Major League Baseball returns, there's a real sense of optimism among Braves country who believe this team could be in for another big season. I talked to fans about why they're here, and everyone has a different reason. Take a listen.
I've actually been a lifelong Braves fan, never been to Atlanta until today. Flew in last night. My boys are diehard Braves fans, so we brought them out for opening day. We thought it was finally time to come.
I'm here with my husband and 2 sons, and we are on a quest to see all the ballparks. So this is number 11 on our journey. So we're excited to see it. This is an awesome park, and we're very impressed so far. It's really cool.
So she's very impressed, but I should mention she is not a Braves fan. She is a Phillies fan, but I did get her to say that we should go to the World Series this year just so we could show off the Battery and Truist Park. She said everything has been great so far since she's been here. We are inside the clubhouse store, as I mentioned. You're looking around as people are buying some of that fresh gear. I'm taking a look at the sales items, and one of the people who's actually loved looking at the sales items is my photographer, Jim Zorn. I'd be interested to look at his credit card statement earlier today. What did you end up buying?
Couple hats, couple shirts,
Yeah, he walked out with a whole bunch of gear. He's actually wearing the hat right now. And Ariel, I'm hearing a little rumor that you're willing to buy me something. So do you think $50
did you now?
is okay? I can expense it to you?
Yeah. That doesn't look like
good.
your color fully, Tyler. I need a full navy, and then maybe we can talk. Find something navy on that rack.
Oh, are you telling me you want me in what?
Yes, that is absolutely for you. Tyler, not you outing photographer Jim Zorn over his expenditures. Leave that man alone. He has to deal with you today.
He was looking for something for his wife, and he was saying this looked
nice. Yeah.
And then he saw the price tag and then was like, nope, we're going to just
put that back on the rack.
Felicia's worth it.
Listen, we can all relate to picking something up and going, not today. Tyler, I love seeing all the fans around you and everybody excited for this night tonight. Mentioning, you did you did earlier, I think, and I missed it. Who are the Braves playing tonight for those who are unfamiliar?
The Royals.
Okay, love it. Sounds like a really good game. And what time does the game start for those who are just tuning in?
7:15 first pitch.
Okay.
Gates open at 4:30. Braves walk at 4 o'clock, which hopefully we'll be able to show you on the news at 4.
Tyler, are you going to be out there later, after work hours? Are you going to partake in the festivities of opening day? I feel like you can't miss it. You have the assignment today.
I've been here every opening day for the last several years. It's always a fun experience out there. I love just having the opportunity just to feel the excitement, because there's just something, as people have been telling us all day and tell us every single year, there's just something about the opening day experience that just feels different than to coming here through one of the other 80-plus games that we have here at Truist Park every year. So of course, I have to stick around so that I can experience the fun, especially we're celebrating 60 years in Atlanta today and this
Incredible. Baseball, magical, and the weather we've gotten, Tyler, so magical as well. Not too cold, not too hot, not rainy. Really lucking out, because I know many opening days have not had this stroke of good fortune. Yes, I know. Not too hot, not too cold. It's the perfect date. Yeah, of course. Tyler, I'm going to let you get back to it. We could talk baseball all the rest of this afternoon, but we do have some other news to get to. So, Tyler, thanks as always. What a pleasure. We'll let you get back to enjoying yourself there at the ballpark. As we continue, guys, the way this 2 o'clock's going to go, we're going to check in on some news of the day, things that are happening that you guys should be aware of. But I know a lot of our minds are on Friday. We're looking ahead to the weekend and some things we can do with our friends and family. So we're going to go back to the Braves coming up with our Eli Jordan. Take a look at around the Battery and see what's happening there coming up. We're also going to check in with our Justin Felder to get an idea of what the Braves are really looking forward to strategy-wise with this season as you take a live look at Truist Park. But we're going to continue on with some headlines that we're following here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. And one of those involves a federal judge actually hearing arguments here in Fulton County over whether or not the federal government should return those seized election ballots here in the county. This all stems from the 2020 election. And as we take a look at this, the January 28th raid that we saw unfold here at an elections facility in Fairburn focused on that operations site, and it was our state's largest operations site. The county's also been a local focal point of allegation fraud leveraged by President Donald Trump and his allies. And this is something that local officials like Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts has said is not substantiated by evidence. So that's something that we continue to follow. As we take a look at this, federal officials say they are investigating potential election-related violations, and the county here continues to maintain that the issues were minor errors. So we'll let you know what the federal judge rules in this case as he hears arguments from both sides. I also want to let you know about a story we continue to follow that's tragic, but it is something that we're trying to get more information on because it involves a child who died after a fire in McDonough. This was a townhome fire, and you're taking a look at some of the video our photojournalist was able to capture. We've learned that that child was rushed to a hospital where they ultimately did not survive their injuries. Firefighters were able to pull that child from a second-story bedroom as flames were coming out of that window. The American Red Cross is trying to help the residents who've been displaced by this fire. It was at a townhome on Labonte Parkway there in McDonough, and it happened just after or just before 5 o'clock in this structure. And when they arrived, when firefighters arrived, family members told them a child was still inside the bedroom of that burning home. So firefighters were rushing to get them out and try to get them to safety. The child was taken to Piedmont Henry County Hospital, but like I mentioned, ultimately died. So we're working to get more information to understand how the community is trying to support and if there's anything else to be aware of as they deal with this tragedy. I also want to let you know that an update to a story we continue to follow from yesterday. This involves a accidental discharge of a weapon, and it took the life of a 22-year-old. Police say that a 12-year-old was mishandling a loaded gun, and it accidentally discharged, killing a 22-year-old man Wednesday night. That juvenile has since been charged with involuntary manslaughter, and police believe the gun that was used is actually linked to additional crimes. So this is something we continue to follow because the victim's mother obviously very upset and says her son was an angel on earth. But officers responded to this home on North Carey Street around 8:45 Wednesday night. When they arrived, they found Aquarius Gates, the 22-year-old, suffering from a gunshot wound. He was rushed to Wellstar West Georgia Medical Center, where he later died from his injuries. But investigators determined that a 12-year-old juvenile, a young boy, was mishandling a loaded firearm when it discharged, striking Gates. The juvenile was taken into custody and is facing multiple charges. But when we were trying to get an understanding of the situation and what happened here, the victim's mother told our reporter Angelique Proctor that there was a group inside of that home that was handling that weapon, and that the 22-year-old Gates allegedly told the 12-year-old to put the gun down. And as the 12-year-old was putting it down, that's when it went off and struck the 22-year-old. So this is just a tragic situation. Captain Jeremy Butler of the LaGrange Police Department says he believes as of now that this was a tragic accident. But as authorities were investigating, they found that that firearm was already on their radar because it was a 9mm handgun that's been linked to more criminal activity. Police are prioritizing tracing to figure out how that weapon ended up in the hands of a child. So we'll continue to keep you updated as we learn any new information. Also want to switch gears to talk about what we know related to a Senate funding bill, because this could be a big development in trying to get our airports back to normal and those TSA lines back to normal wait times. This could be coming to an end. As of right now, the Senate voted early Friday morning to fund the Department of Homeland Security with a few exceptions. The legislation now rests with the House, and there's talk that this legislation may not actually pass the House. I do see that there is a press conference from the House that's supposed to start here soon. If we're able to get that and get new information, we'll work to bring it to you live. But it was a rare early morning session where the Senate unanimously passed this funding for FEMA, the Coast Guard, Secret Service, and of course the Transportation Security Administration. Tens of thousands of employees are now closer to getting their first paycheck in more than a month. Senators ultimately agreed to fund these agencies, but they did not include any new money for immigration's enforcement. One thing that New York Senator Chuck Schumer said is that Democrats were clear and no checks, blank checks for ICE or Border Patrol were going to happen. And he further said that they, quote, held the line. But Republican Congressman Jason Smith says ICE has always been funded through the big, beautiful bill. Customs and Border Patrol has always been funded from that bill. So Democrats didn't really get anything out of this. That includes the immigration guardrails that Democrats had really been seeking, like masks or no masks for ICE agents, body cameras, and stopping raids around sensitive areas like schools and churches. We do know the Trump administration did ultimately ask ICE officers to wear body-worn cameras after Minnesota. But the legislation now heads to the House, like I mentioned. It's going to face procedural and political hurdles. Lawmakers are really trying to get it passed before they go on the spring recess for 2 weeks. And Republican Congressman Tim Burchett says that this is frustrating because he feels like these laws are always jammed up to a vacation, and he wants to make sure he understands what's in a funding bill when he passes it. No matter what happens in the House, President Trump does plan to sign a separate order to pay just the Transportation Security Administration. It would use emergency funds from the One Big Beautiful Bill. The president did do the same thing to pay the military during last year's government shutdown. However, nothing has been signed just yet. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, I do want to check in with our Tara Jabor in just a little bit to see if we can get something from the airport. So we'll see if we can bring her back in to see if there's reaction from travelers and maybe getting a live look there from the airport. So I'll let you know where we stand there. But as we wait for her, let's listen. We heard from senators as they passed this legislation. We want you to listen in to what they had to say after the Senate made their decision this morning.
In the wake of the murders of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, Senate Democrats were clear: no blank check for a lawless ICE and Border Patrol. This long overdue agreement funds TSA, the Coast Guard, FEMA, CISA, strengthens security at the border and at ports of entry, and keeps Americans safe. This could have been accomplished weeks ago if Republicans hadn't stood in the way. Democrats held firm in our opposition that Donald Trump's rogue and deadly militia should not get more funding without serious reforms, and we will continue to fight for those reforms. I'm very proud of our Democratic caucus. Throughout it all, Senate Democrats stood united, no wavering, no backing down. We held the line.
Mr. President, President Trump recently announced that he has found a way to provide relief for tens of thousands of TSA officers currently working without pay. And thanks to his actions, the money to pay them will start flowing immediately. I'm grateful, and I suspect that every American traveler will be grateful, that the President has found a way to address the terrible situation at U.S. airports and finally give TSA officers the pay that they're owed.
So we'll continue to keep you updated as the House makes a decision on this legislation. But I'd like to take you out live to Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport to get an understanding as to how lines are looking this afternoon. Tara, what are you seeing, and are you hearing any reaction to the Senate passing this funding bill?
Yeah, Ariel, we're here at the main checkpoint. As you can see behind me, there really isn't a line, and there hasn't been a line basically all day today. We did see a lot of people lining up before 8 a.m., but since about 8:30 this morning, it's looked pretty clear here at the airport. You know, of course, the longer wait times are because of that partial government shutdown that you were just talking about. TSA workers not being paid for over a month. We're told from the Department of Homeland Security that about 40% of TSA agents have not shown up here in Atlanta. We also spoke to the union earlier this afternoon. He told us that this morning a lot of TSA agents were feeling more optimistic because of the news that the Senate had passed potential funding, but of course they are still waiting for that money. Now, when I was speaking to that union representative, he also told me that the last 40 days have been extremely difficult for TSA agents. He says that some people have had to find other ways to make money, whether that is going and doing food delivery or, you know, driving through Uber or different apps like that. He says that they've had to make difficult decisions because they don't have enough money to put food on the table. He even told me that some people are struggling to pay their rent. So as you can imagine, they're really hoping for a solution in DC soon. We did also speak with a lot of travelers today. They told us that they were thankful to see these much shorter lines today. Everyone seems to be relieved about that. Let's take a listen.
I'm casually just flying through. I got to take a Shih Tzu over to Buffalo, New York. I got my little Pomeranian with me. She's going to fly out with me. I'm happy that the airport is clear. I was real worried about that. I've been seeing a lot of videos with everything backed up. They seem to have gotten it together, so, you know, we're having a beautiful morning.
I think it sucks that they're not getting paid because that's their living. You know, that's how they make their living, and I'm sure that they have families that they need to take care of, so they need to get paid. It's only fair.
And we really have heard that over and over again from people, that they are just hoping that there's a solution soon and that these TSA workers can be paid. Now, the airport here, they're still asking for travelers to arrive about 4 hours before your flight just to make sure that you can make that flight in time. Ariel.
Tara, absolutely hoping that things can get back to normal, especially for the men and women who are working without pay. And I actually just got an update via email, Tara. I'm going to read this out because our community is really rallied around these agents, trying to make sure they do have food and they are able to take care of their families. It seems that the Georgia Public Service Commission is advancing a motion to prevent utility cutoffs for TSA agents here in Georgia who are going without pay. So another agency at the state level trying to make sure that TSA agents can make ends meet. So, Tara, thank you for showing us a live look at the airport and letting us know what the lines are like. Glad that they're not too severe here on this Friday afternoon. I'll let you get back to information gathering, and we'll see you again this evening. Tara, thank you. As we continue here, you guys, I want to let you know that there is a news conference going on with Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. It seems he might be talking about the legislation, so let's listen in and see if he's addressing that.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris hoisted upon the country. And 20 million, by some estimates, 20 million dangerous, criminal, illegal aliens included in that number came over the border. We have terrorists in our country. We have, obviously, murderers. They're putting it on display. And then these big blue cities that have sanctuary city policies, they're releasing these people onto the streets. They released them over the border when they came over under the Biden years. And that is the turmoil that we're facing right now. The very serious threats to the homeland and everybody. It's not just long lines at the airport. It is the danger and safety of everyone. We'll talk more after this is passed. We'll get it done.
Has the president endorsed this plan? Has the president endorsed this plan, Mr. Speaker? Has the president?
I spoke to the president a few moments ago. He understands exactly what we're doing and why, and he supports it. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. The American people are just sick and tired of every one of you, both Republicans and Democrats, come to this podium and blame the other side. People have been standing in lines 3, 4, 5 hours at a time. There's TSA workers that are selling their plasma. At what point is a leader on either side going to stand up and say, we have a path forward that everyone will agree to? This vote today will extend the shutdown under any circumstance.
No, it won't. No, it won't.
And it
Thank you. Let me answer the question. I'm glad you brought it up. The House Republicans have now voted that today will be the 4th time to fund the Homeland Security. This is not party blame game. This is a record. You can hold up the record. Look at the Democrats. They're voting over and over. Yesterday afternoon, we gave them a chance to fund Homeland Security. You know how many House Democrats voted yes? 4 of them. They want to use people as pawns. People are not pawns. These are workers who are sacrificially serving the country, many of them without pay, to make sure that you and your families are safe. And we're done with it. This is not a political blame game. This is one party doing the job and getting the government funded, and another that's using people as pawns. We're not going to do that. Listen, we're going to send it over there, and you can see what they do. If this is not USEED and they don't do it, the president has shown leadership. He's going to fund TSA agents. We'll get that covered. But we have the rest of the country to take care of. We're not asking them to do anything heroic. These aren't partisan games. We're not adding bells and whistles to this. It is a clean continuation of funding to make sure that the most basic responsibility of government is fulfilled. And we'll see how that goes and see what they do.
Okay, so you're listening to House Speaker Mike Johnson as he addressed reporters there on Capitol Hill. It does seem that this funding bill is hitting resistance in the House after clearing the Senate. We do know also that President Donald Trump is planning to sign a separate order in order to fund the Transportation Security Administration using emergency funds from the One Big Beautiful Bill. The president has not done that yet, and the House has not passed this funding bill yet. So at this point, TSA, FEMA, Coast Guard, and Secret Service are still working without pay. We'll continue to keep you updated as the House debates this bill. And looking ahead, we're going to bring you back a little closer to home. I want to get you an update on your weather forecast with meteorologist Jonathan Stacy. We're also going to talk about the latest with the war in Iran. That's straight ahead. Welcome back in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here on your Friday afternoon. It is Friday, and it is also the opening day for the Braves' 60th season, so meteorologist Jonathan Stacy's going to let us know what to expect.
Shaping up to be quite the nice day this final Friday of the month of March, sending temperatures into the mid-80s area-wide. 85 in Atlanta. You'll look for some mid to upper 80s as you move to the south and to the east of the city. Lower 80s across the northern and westernmost zones of North Georgia as a result of those northwesterly winds moving in behind a cold front. A cold front is sneaking through as we speak, but it's not bringing us much in the way of cloud cover and certainly no rain, maybe a drip or a drop for our northernmost communities tonight. But as that front comes through, the breezes will be the most noticeable aspect at first. Those winds rushing in out of the northwest could create gusts near 30 miles per hour, but it's that cold air that will be firmly afoot tomorrow morning that you will feel the most. However, if you're going out for the Braves game, season opener at home, first pitch 7:15, and you will feel the warmth of summer. 71 degrees, 81 degrees turns into the 70s, then the 60s, then the 50s, and we just keep on dropping from there. Even during the wee hours of Saturday morning, some of you will hold on to some warmth out east, modest warmth, 54 degrees, but look just how much cooler it will be across the northwest of the area. Temperatures in the 40s in some communities, especially northeast, going down into the 30s. It's going to be a chilly start to the morning. So Friday and Saturday are not the same by any stretch. So if you are going out to the game this weekend, no rain, that's not my concern. Once again, I gave you a 10% shot as that front moves through Friday. Here's the deal. We're going to turn down the temperature significantly. In fact, the first pitch forecast for Friday is 81 degrees. Let's go ahead and shave about, 16 degrees off of that. By Saturday, first pitch still at 7:15, but this is what you're going to be starting out with. So short sleeves, shorts, that's great for today. Tomorrow, it's going to be fairly brisk out there too. So you're going to have the winds coming in out of the north, and it's going to add a little bit of insult to injury, especially as the sun slips below the horizon. Sunset just before the 8 o'clock hour. Friday, Saturday, now we're at Sunday, and you can see here that Sunday's even cooler than Saturday is. Here's the deal with Sunday. First pitch is shortly after the noon period. So temperatures will be hanging out in the low 60s, but they should grow a bit as we get deeper into the afternoon. We're going to still keep some breezes going, but I think there'll be southerly breezes, which will actually help us out in part. Here's a look at your Fox 5 7-day forecast. There's plenty of sunshine here. I can't find a really nice chance for rain at all. By the time we get to Monday, we will have shook the chill off of the weekend, and temperatures are not starting out in the 40s, but they'll be starting out in the 50s, especially here in the city. We'll wander into the 70s, back above average. 80s are locked in for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and that is as soon as I can get you a drop of rain.
Okay, Jonathan. Well, good to know as we look ahead. Maybe it would be nice to have some rain considering our current drought issues. So we'll keep you updated there. But you guys, I'd like to continue updating you like I promised on the war with Iran, because as of right now, President Trump is extending the deadline for peace with Iran, even as airstrikes continue and plans for a possible United States ground offensive is now beginning to take shape. We are 24 days into Operation Epic Fury, and President Trump is trying two ends to the conflict. On Thursday, the president said negotiations are going well, and he extended his deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians are telling a different story, saying that there have been no talks and they're still weighing in on the president's 15-point peace plan. Just a day later, though, in Israel, officials there are threatening to, quote, escalate and expand their attacks on regime targets. The Pentagon is reportedly preparing to deploy 10,000 more service members to the Middle East. And though it's not clear at this point what those U.S. troops would be doing there on the ground, some say it's going to give President Trump more leverage as he tries to negotiate peace with Iran. Iran shows no sign of backing down, with missile attacks continuing on Gulf neighbors, and ships are still being targeted in the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump says that Iran now must reopen the strait by April 6th. So we're going to continue to keep you updated there. I also want to let you guys know that with the war with Iran now in its fourth week, we're seeing some of the impacts. We're getting an understanding as to some of the environmental and health impacts of a war like this. Researchers are warning that these impacts could last for decades. A UK-based nonprofit, Conflict and Environment Observatory, Laboratory is working with remote satellite technology. They're trying to better understand environmental damage as a result of this fighting. Because fighting is still going on, data still needs to be collected, and that could take some time. But so far, the group has documented, quote, more than 400 environmentally concerning incidents related to the war, end quote. And while these health hazards and environmental hazards primarily affect those across the Middle East, scientists say we may all feel their effects. And that's because flames blasted from oil and gas facilities put toxins into the air. Particles can combine with water droplets to go into the atmosphere and cause acidic rain to fall back to Earth. And soot and ash from steady barrages of missiles also worsen air quality levels. Debris from impact zones and destroyed ships in and around the Strait of Hormuz are leading to fears about possible soil and water contamination, which of course can affect the food that we eat. Scientists are warning that the manufacturing of new gear and weapons also contributes to this problem, not because of their toxic byproducts, but also because of the heavy use of fossil fuels within their process. So, according to the estimates from carbon accounting company Greenly, the U.S. alone has released 2 billion metric tons of greenhouse gases during the first 6 days of the war alone. So this is a story we'll continue to keep you updated on as we take a look at this. I also want to let you know how the war with Iran could affect the midterm elections, because this is something that we're all discussing, and especially here in the state of Georgia, we know that Republicans are going to be trying to maintain their majorities in the House and the Senate. The war with Iran is giving voters a new issue to consider before they cast their ballots this fall. So let's look at how Republican voters in Norcross, Georgia are feeling. Fox's Asher Red went out to speak with them and found there's division over Operation Epic Fury. Some Republicans that Asher Red spoke to shared they feel the party might be losing traction because of the war. For example, Lana Kennedy in Lawrenceville shared she would have preferred a diplomatic approach to Iran. And according to a new Fox News poll, support for the U.S. strikes in Iran are starting to slip, with 42% of voters approving and 58% being opposed. The poll further shows disapproval with President Trump's job, and rating is at an all-time low for both terms. About 59% of voters disapproved of the president's job performance. That's again according to Fox News. And some voters here in suburban Atlanta have noticed support for the president beginning to wane. Charles K., again, Asher Red spoke to this voter. Charles K. lives in Norcross and says that the Trump voters that he knows and that he sides with are starting to voice some concern. Another voter, Shane Nixon, that Asher Red spoke to, says she feels frustrations that she feels are going to have implications come November. So why this matters is because suburban towns and swing states like here in Georgia could be crucial in deciding the balance of Congress. Over the last decade, towns like Norcross have become more competitive in terms of getting the vote between Republicans and Democrats. Georgia has been a reliably Republican state for years. President Biden did win this state here in 2020, and then President Trump won it in 2024 by only 2 points. So as we see how things shape up, it's going to be an issue that we consider and try to better understand as we look ahead to what may happen with the midterm elections. One more story I want to let you guys know about, because it could be significant, deals with our State Department and what they're doing to try to thwart threats from foreign actors. The State Department is so concerned about threats from rapidly advancing technologies like artificial intelligence in particular, that Secretary Rubio is making a major change. He's creating an entirely new State Department bureau that he says is going to work to prevent emerging threats as it targets Americans. The State Department says it could be one of the most significant things that the Trump administration does. Iran recently used AI-generated satellite imagery to falsely claim it damaged the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. And last month, experts rang the alarm that Iran may have used advanced electronic electronic warfare to down a $220 million U.S. Navy drone over the Strait of Hormuz. So there's also further concern that AI could be used to reshape narratives as it relates to war and put out images and pictures that are false, shaping public opinion. Another U.S. adversary, China, is now using AI to reconstruct B-2 stealth bomber flight paths, track carrier groups in real time, and collect data on American lawmakers. The top White House cyber official, Sean Carencross, says the government has avoided taking responsibility for too long as it relates to AI. He says the private sector should not be expected to stand up to foreign adversaries, and the federal government needs to do its part. So this is going to be something we continue to hear about because it seems to be a big priority of the Trump administration. And it's not just from the State Department. Earlier today, the Justice Department charged 3 men in California for illegally trying to send artificial intelligence technology, critical artificial intelligence technology to China. So we're going to continue to keep you updated as this progresses. As we continue here at 2 o'clock on your Friday afternoon, we're going to take you back out to the ballpark like I promised with our Eli Jordan. Looking off to my right, it looks like a beautiful day at the Battery. So we're going to check in with him to see what business is and people are up to coming up next. Welcome back in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. It is great to see you as we talk about all the news that's happening on your Friday afternoon. And one of the biggest stories, of course, of the day, opening day for the Braves. And now the Battery is stepping up to play for the home opener. Our Eli Jordan joins us live from the Battery to give us a look as to what's going on. Eli, I feel like I hear a lot of chattering voices behind you, which sounds exciting.
Yeah, baby. I see. Oh, yeah. Everybody's out here. Families are out here getting all excited and all that good stuff. And yes, it's 60 years of the Braves in Atlanta. It's a big deal, and the Braves are going to do it right, along with the Battery. And I got a long-time Braves fan here with me, and he knows a little bit about, comparatively speaking, over the years, of what the Battery might look like. And I am here with, all the way from Columbus, Georgia, with his family, Ed Juan. Hey, Ed, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing? How's it going, Eli?
It's all right, not too bad. So you brought your family up here all the way from Columbus, right?
That's right.
And we got Ayana, Ethan, and Jordan, right?
That's correct.
And so tell me, you guys you've been here before for opening home season, but this is opening home and season opener.
For sure. It's third consecutive year.
So have you noticed a difference in the Battery this year coming in?
Yeah, a couple new restaurants. Definitely tried to walk on. I like to walk on. I see that's an addition. Sandbox. We like the Sandbox VR. So yeah, we like that.
So what is it about, the opening game of the season, coming out of here? You guys have made a weekend out of this, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's just become a tradition. Like I said, the last 3 years, I brought the family up, and it happens to be spring break this week also. So yeah, just make a whole experience out of it.
So I got to ask you, why are you wearing that Yankees cap?
I haven't got dressed for the game yet. Yeah, I just got up, got a little breakfast, just threw something on. I got to switch it to my Braves attire.
So you got some clothes up in the hotel room?
For sure.
So is it kind of crazy? I guess it's become a natural thing to travel from Columbus, get a hotel here. To me, it sounds like a great weekend for you guys.
Yeah, excellent experience. The kids look forward to it now. They're actually asking about it every year around this time. They're looking forward to it.
And they're only 8 and 5 years old,
8 and 5 years old.
Do they really get into the game and all that good stuff?
Oh, yeah. Well, my son, he's playing travel ball right now, so yeah, he's really into the baseball.
What do you think about this weather?
Perfect.
This seems like storybook type of setting for opening.
It is. Perfect day. It's been perfect so far. Yesterday also, it's been perfect. Everything's been perfect.
Awesome. And so, any predictions of the game against the Royals?
Of course, the Braves are going to win. The Braves win every time.
Yes. You hoping for any extra innings or anything like that?
Oh, yeah, I'll take extra innings. I'll take extra innings every time, yeah.
Now, are you sticking around for any more games? What are you going to do for this weekend?
For sure. We'll definitely be back. If not tomorrow, maybe the next series home game. Yeah, we'll be here.
So did you get into the so I tell you what, they got some new concessions this year, 60 years on, so they pick it up. They got Low Country Crunch.
Okay.
I don't know what that's about, but Peach Dingers, A-Town Melt, the Bat Flip, the Walk Off, and Fill the Greens.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind trying that Low Country Crunch because I do Low Country Crunch myself.
Yeah, I may have to try one of those.
Yeah, you might have to come back and get us a report on this next year.
For sure.
I'm going to look for you next year when you come out here.
Okay, definitely. I'll be here.
But again, what does your whole family think about all this? Tell me about the excitement and just the vibe.
They love it. Like I said, the kids, they're always looking forward to it. They're looking forward to the Braves game. They want to get dressed in their Braves attire. So yeah, it's a big thing.
Tossing the ball out here. You're going to got the bet here ready to go just in case a foul ball or a home run comes your way, right?
That's right. We're ready.
Awesome. Ed One and his family from Columbus out here enjoying the home opener, season opener of the Atlanta Braves against the Kansas City Royals. 60 years of Atlanta Braves, and the Battery has kicked it up a little notch. New attractions, new restaurants for 60 years. Come on out here. They're going to have some cool bobblehead nights throughout the season. April 28th, Snoopy bobblehead. July 21st, Spider-Man bobblehead. So those are always a big deal. And they also have a new pedestrian bridge that I'll show the next hour. Ariel,
okay, Eli, love it. A little teaser for 3 o'clock. Can't wait to see it. One thing I love, Eli, about baseball is it's such a family affair, and to see and hear all these families who travel in from all across the country, all across our state to make this a tradition, it's really special.
Yeah, that's what makes it really special. That's what makes today extra special. With 60 years, this being the season and the home opener, but also, too, this weather. Props to Jonathan Stacy for the weather, and the weather is great, and it's a nice little breeze, and you can't help, even myself. I'm not a huge baseball fan myself, but I'm totally feeling the vibe because this weather is awesome. The people are happy out here. They're smiling. They're wearing their logos on their shirts, and you're rooting for their teams. And you can't get any better than this in Atlanta.
You got all your stuff?
Yeah, cool. Eli, pretty amazing. You get a hit or miss with weather when it comes to opening day of baseball, so really wonderful. We don't have snow. We don't have rain. It's a great temperature.
Yeah, baby.
Great time to be out. Eli Jordan, thanks so much.
Perfect.
We'll see you coming up at 3 o'clock. I'll let you get back to it. Okay, guys, we're going to continue along here. I want to let you know about some stories we're following here at Fox 5 Atlanta because one of them happens this weekend. There are many No Kings protests planned in and around our state. So I want to let you know so that way you're prepared and you know what to expect. Because as we take a look at this, dozens of these types of protests are planned across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia. And you can see the map. This is really across the United States in the southeast corner. It's a nationwide movement, and it says it opposes policies policies under President Donald Trump. We're expecting demonstrations in Atlanta, Marietta, Roswell, Smyrna, Sandy Springs, Conyers, Athens, among many others. Organizers say the rallies are part of a coordinated effort with more than 2,000 events planned nationwide and millions of participants expected. This marks the third major No Kings demonstration since President Trump returned to office, and they do come against what people say are ongoing concerns over issues like immigration, elections, health care, and other policy issues. So I want to just get you up to speed in the sense that there are going to be protests that could affect traffic, they could affect your commute. So make sure that you check our website, fox5atlanta.com, before you head out this weekend. DeKalb, Sandy Springs, Smyrna, Fayetteville, and others. So check fox5atlanta.com for estimated timing. I wish I could tell you, okay, these are happening at 11 a.m. And while that's true for some, there are others that are planned. I'm looking at our list on our website from 2:30 to 4:30. So it's really across the region, and it is across the day that these protests are going to be happening. Atlanta police say that there are going to be additional officers deployed to support safety efforts. They say that people do have the right to gather peacefully and make their voices heard, but the key word being peacefully, and they say that they're going to be making sure that things go off smoothly. So if you are planning to drive in and around these areas, expect some road blockages and delays. We'll continue to keep you updated, but more than 10,000 people or so participated in the first round of the No Kings rallies back in June of last year. So we'll see how attendance shapes up for the ones this month. As we continue here, I also want to let you guys know, as we take a look at stories that we're following, that a judge in New York City, a federal judge, has rejected a request to dismiss trafficking charges against former Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. And his wife, Celia Flores. The two appeared in court on Thursday and are facing drug trafficking charges here in the United States. The attorney for Maduro had argued that the United States government had been keeping his client from funding his defense. The President Trump has accused the former Venezuelan president of being a major purveyor of drugs that have come into the United States, and that he's now facing accountability for that. You can see sketches of the two appearing in a federal courthouse. They are being held in a detention center in Brooklyn, and a trial date has not yet been set, but we'll keep you updated as this moves forward. Also want to let you guys know that it has been 2 years since the bridge collapse in Maryland, the Francis Scott Key Bridge. And on Thursday, Maryland officials are highlighting the recovery efforts for that bridge. But critics are saying that this timeline to rebuild is way too slow and the cost is simply too high. It's the worst bridge collapse in Maryland's history, and it claimed the lives of 6 construction workers and paralyzed the port of Baltimore. Governor Wes Moore is now optimistic on progress, but we're seeing ballooning costs and massive delays that are hampering this effort. The cost projecting just under $2 billion with a completion date in 2028. The Francis Scott Key Bridge rebuild is now expected to cost more than double, and it won't reopen until 2030. We've seen heavy cranes working on that bridge, trying to get some stuff underway, but there's been little progress, and 30% of the bridge, according to officials, has not even been designed yet. Full federal funding for the bridge was secured in bipartisan legislation in 2024, but transportation policy experts are questioning whether Congress is going to support the rising costs to get it completed now. The Port of Baltimore is operational and thriving once again, but the big issue is getting this bridge back open, and that's going to take some time. Maryland is still in litigation with the owners of the container ship, the Dolly. They say that container ship and that company were negligent, and that was in part the reason for this collapse. So we'll keep you updated as this progresses. But coming back up here at 2 o'clock, we're going to take you back out to the ballpark with our Justin Felder as he gets ready to discuss what the Braves are looking forward to for the opening day tonight. So that's ahead. Welcome back in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstott. Pleasure to see you here at 2 o'clock. Let's get back out to the ballpark with our Justin Felder because, Justin, I'm ready to talk some inside baseball, if you will, on opening day today. You got a big smile. Looks like everyone's excited for what's ahead.
Let me tell you why I have a big smile right now. It's because I'm in the Braves dugout, and there's one of the few places with shade. And actually, if you look up, you can see these vents right here blowing cool air, and we need it. I know you've been talking about the weather, but it's March on the calendar, but it feels like July out here. We're going to brave.
Oh, no.
Go out here, show you what's happening in the ballpark right now. We're just getting set up. Everybody's getting ready to go for opening night. First game of 162 here at Truist Park, welcoming in the Kansas City Royals. And I'll tell you what you're going to see from the fans tonight. Check this out on every single seat in the lower level, at least in some of the middle levels as well. We got some nice rally towels, opening day 2026. So there'll be a lot of red waving around tonight. So it's going to be the Braves and the Royals tonight. Chris Sale on the mound, the former Cy Young Award winner, the veteran, the leader of this team. He's going to be getting the start from the Braves. We heard from him yesterday, and he says he gets nervous before every start. Every spring training start, opening day is just magnified a little more, even though that's somebody who's been there, done that as much as just about any in baseball. Flip the camera back around. It's an exciting season, Ariel. In just a few minutes, actually 7 minutes from right now, we're going to be going inside the Braves clubhouse, get a chance to talk to some players. We'll be bringing you those interviews coming up this afternoon on Fox 5 News at 5 and 6.
Can't wait, Justin. Seems like it's going to be a great time, and can't wait for you to share what those players are looking forward to. If someone's wondering what color to wear tonight, Justin, it seems based on those rally towels, red is it?
Yeah, you're going to blend right in if you're wearing red tonight, and the Royals are wearing blue, so maybe blue is their primary color, so maybe leave the blue in the closet tonight. But look, expecting a huge crowd. I think any color you're wearing, you're going to have a good time. And it's the Royals. It's not the Mets or the Phillies, so nobody's going to give you too hard a time if you've got Kansas City roots. That's all right. That's Midwest nice. We're cool with that.
Very fair. Just another question real quick coming to my mind. Tell us a little bit about, from a player or strategy standpoint, anything that the Braves have shared as far as getting them to the championships, potentially a World Series this year, things that they're looking ahead to try to win. I know injuries have long dominated stories and headlines with the Braves. So what are we looking forward to in that regard?
We'll give you a live look out here, as you mentioned, injuries out at players warming up, because it's interesting you mentioned that. Injuries, the pitching staff, that's what we've really been talking about throughout spring training. And if you can see right there in right field, warming up, getting in some long toss, that's Grant Holmes. He's going to be one of the starting pitchers on this team. He's actually slated to get the start on Sunday against the Kansas City Royals. And that's one of the big questions, right? It's the Braves have been dealing with so many pitching injuries during the spring. You had Spencer Schwellenbach, Hurston Waldrop. They're both out until the summer at least. Spencer Strider is going to be out. He's on the 15-day injured list, so he's out a couple weeks at least. You're going to look for guys like a Grant Holmes, who you're watching live, get in some pregame work right now. He's going to be somebody that the Braves counting on. We're going to see Reynaldo Lopez in game 2, and we might get some younger guys getting a chance as early as next week in the second series of the year. So that's something really big. How well can this pitching staff hold up, at least until they get some of those injured guys back on the staff?
It makes sense, and I know that that's something we've long looked forward to, with some of these younger players stepping up to the mound and trying to understand what they're able to do for the team. So I won't hold you anymore, Justin. I know you got to get in and you're going to talk to players. Thanks so much for joining us live. Appreciate you, and can't wait for
I'm getting the shade. I'm going in the shade.
Get back, get out of the sun.
I'm getting in the shade.
Do it. Bye, Justin. Okay, guys, we're going to continue along here because this is a story I know you're all going to want to talk about. Netflix is bumping their subscription prices again, and let's talk about it because this is something you guys have all been looking at fox5atlanta.com. I see you talking about it on social media, and if you are a Netflix subscriber, let's talk about what this is going to mean for you, because the standard subscription just went up to $8.99 a month. That's up $1, and the ad-free subscriptions are now $2 more a month, $19.99 and $26.99. The last time that the company raised prices was January 2025, so we're about a year away from that, a little over, and once again, prices are coming up. The price hike is happening as Netflix is investing heavily into its own original content, like new ventures into the live events space and video podcasts. We've heard Netflix talk a lot about how it wants to invest in more live sports, more live programming, as it seems to be what a lot of you guys want to see. I know we here at Fox are working to bring you guys more live programming, so it just only makes sense. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, we've got more to come at 3, right? We're looking ahead in just about 3 minutes to switching over. We've got a lot of stories ahead here. We're going to be talking to our Deidre Dukes about a new bill in the state legislature that could massively overhaul our elections process here in the state of Georgia. Of course, we're also going to be speaking about all things Braves opening day from Truist Park. So all of that and more to come. My name is Ariel Onstadt. I'll be hanging with you coming up here at 3 o'clock. Welcome back in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. Thanks so much for being here at 3 o'clock. We've got a lot of news to get to. We are looking ahead to opening day for Braves baseball, their 60th season. So we're going to check in with our Eli Jordan coming up from the Battery to get a look at what is happening there. Very exciting stuff. But I'd like to start with some headlines that we're following here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom first. And one of them deals with a federal judge hearing disputes over those seized ballots here in Fulton County. A federal judge is hearing arguments from both sides over Fulton County's demand that the FBI return those seized ballots and materials from the 2020 election. Now, the dispute stems from a January raid where leaders called the seizure improper and politically motivated. Federal officials say they are investigating potential election-related violations, and the county maintains that any issues were minor errors. So we've seen back and forth on this, but a judge is hearing whether or not to return those ballots to the county. The hearing comes after both sides failed to reach an agreement through court-ordered mediation. So that is something that we'll continue to keep you guys updated on. As it also continues, I want to get out to our state house, to the state capitol, because the state Senate is debating a bill that would massively overhaul our elections process here in the state of Georgia. And it comes after this bill originally failed to pass on crossover day. So let's get out to Deidre Dukes to help us make sense of this. Deidre, it is great to see you there from the state house. How would this bill affect our elections in Georgia? And as a follow-up question, I hear it's now being attached to another bill. So what can you tell us?
That's right. It would be a major overhaul of how Georgia elections are carried out, how we vote. And I do want to let you know an update that it did, in fact, pass the Senate along party lines. It is a Republican-sponsored measure with Republicans voting against it, Republicans voting for it, Democrats voting against it. It did pass today, a short time ago. Now, this is sort of what opponents would call a bait-and-switch bill, because what happened is initially this bill did pass out of the Senate in its original form in the House, but the bill's sponsor did manage, working with other GOP lawmakers, to get another bill that passed, another Senate bill, to basically gut that bill, and then in fact by gutting that legislation was able to get this legislation back up for another vote on the floor. And so basically this bill started out or came over to the Senate as a bill that would in fact have created another judge position, or allowed Gwinnett County to get another judge, a bill that had passed the House, but apparently somewhere along the way after crossover day the legislation was gutted, and then Senator Greg Dolezal's controversial election bill, all of that language was dumped into an entirely separate bill. So that is, in fact, how this elections bill made it back up on the Senate floor for that vote today. And let me break down for you what the election bill, if passed, what it would mean for Georgia voters. So if passed, voters will mark their ballot by hand. It would be mandatory statewide. And they also, if there's a challenge to a, election voter challenges, saying, for instance, I don't think Ariel Onstad should have been able to vote, then whereas that challenge would have gone to the Secretary of State's office, it now in fact would be taken up by the State Elections Board. And also any type of recounting that needs to be done that is now overseen by the Secretary of State's office, that would in fact be overseen in fact by the State Election Board. So it would basically take both the recounting of ballots and also would in effect take out voter challenges, take that out of the Secretary of State's hands and put that in the State Election Board's hands, which is very controversial, in part because, as Democratic lawmakers who are opposed to the legislation pointed out, members of the State Elections Board are not elected by Georgia voters. They're appointed to these positions, and so they're saying that people who are appointed should not be in charge of recounts and things of that nature. And Georgia would move to that mandatory use of hand-marked paper ballots for the November election. And the other concern by those who are opposed to the legislation is they're saying that that is would put a lot of strain, if this bill were to become law, would put a lot of strain on the various county elections officials who would are now dealing with several special elections that we have coming up or recently come up this year, that in addition to having to do that, prepare those elections, they are now given about 3 months or so to turn things around and make it possible for Georgia voters to vote in an entirely different manner. So those were some of the arguments that were made against this, but again, it did pass, and we've got reaction from both the bill's sponsor and from the Democratic minority leader of the Senate today. Here's what they had to say.
Very excited to see us pass a bill that would move Georgia to a hand-marked paper ballot system. As you can see, we would become one of the green states on this map, and we are currently an outlier using ballot marking devices, and this would allow us to adjudicate our elections the same way most of America does. About 2/3 of the citizens in America vote on a hand-marked paper ballot, and we would move in that direction.
Number one problem is July 1st, 2026. Puts a lot of stress onto the counties. Two types of stress. Number one, the time crunch, and then of course secondly, we don't even necessarily know how much it's going to actually cost. So those are the two things that are very concerning. So you have a time situation, and if you remember correctly, it was actually an amendment that was suggested in that particular committee to change it to 2027. That doesn't quite put you in the same kind of time crunch. Unfortunately, it was rejected. So now think about that. The counties would just be coming off their election, immediately now have to go to change this for the November election. That'd be very difficult on them. And then of course, because we don't fund elections, we don't have no idea how much it's actually going to cost the counties to actually do any of this.
So there you hear it, response from the bill sponsor, and then the concerns that were raised there on the Senate floor by the minority leader and others as to why they argued that this bill should not pass. Now, it did pass out of the Senate. It does now go back to the House. Again, the last time the bill under a different form was introduced, it passed out of the Senate, made it to the House, languished in the House. And so, there's a big question as to, with just 2 days left in the legislative session, 2 full days left in the session, if in fact we can expect that this bill will make it onto the House floor, if it will come up for a vote. So just a lot of uncertainty there, if in fact this bill will pass both the House and Senate and make its way onto the governor's desk. I do want to add that one major source of contention initially with the initial bill was that one thing that the bill would have done, Ariel, is it would have dialed back the number of advanced early voting locations in counties with more than a few advanced voting locations. So you would have really been restricted as to the number of advanced voting locations, but that was taken out of the bill, so that's no longer an issue. It would not change the number of advanced voting locations that the various counties here in Georgia do open during that early voting period.
Deidre, I really appreciate the thorough explanation, because this bill would have a huge effect on our state's election processes. And it is really interesting to understand that if this were to pass the House as well, and if the governor were to sign it, the power wouldn't be so much with the Secretary of State as now these state boards of elections, or to be able to look into this, or county boards of election. You can correct me on which entity, but I think that's really interesting given the argument that you were expressing, where people were saying, hey, boards of elections are appointed, they are not voted on by voters like a Secretary of State. So it's interesting because the Secretary of State would not have as much power related to our elections, it sounds like.
That's right. And Ariel, clarification, it is specifically the State Elections Board. And as you know, that particular board, which is majority Republican board, has been the source of a lot of controversy in and of itself. And that board isn't appointed. Those board members are appointed. They are not elected. And so there's just a strong feeling on the part of the Democrats who debated this issue today there in the Senate chamber as to, why you would put that type of responsibility in the hands of the state election board when it's believed that they would be partial. That's what the Democrats believe, that they would be partial to Republicans when it came time to make those decisions as far as hand recounts and things of that nature. So they're saying it should not go into the hands of an appointed body, that it should remain with the Secretary of State's office. Of course, the Secretary of State is elected by the people, and so Democrats are arguing that that is who should be over that.
And it's interesting, Deidre, because this could go either way, right? Say, for example, the state elections board was majority Democrat. The same argument could be made no matter who's in power. Voters might want a Secretary of State, someone they have elected, to be able to decide these issues and to be able to oversee it. So absolutely going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out in the legislature. As always, I appreciate our conversations and you bringing this to our attention. I know we're going to hear more from you on this issue coming up this evening. So, Deidre, I'll let you get back to information gathering. I do appreciate you as always. Let you get back to it there at the State House. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, you guys, I want to keep you updated on some other stories. Thank you, guys. 3 o'clock. Habit. As we continue at 3 o'clock, I want to keep you updated on some stories we're following here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. Some headlines. Very tragically, a child has died after a fire at a townhome. This is heartbreaking because firefighters rushed to this house and tried to get that child out safely. But unfortunately, we learned that child later died at the hospital. You're looking at the aftermath of this townhome fire in McDonough. Firefighters were able to pull that child from a second-story bedroom as flames poured in through the window. The American Red Cross is helping residents who've been displaced. This fire happened at the townhome on Labonte Parkway there in McDonough. So we're going to keep you updated as we get any new information as to the identity of this child and community efforts to try to help their family. But as of right now, fire investigators are taking a look at the damage and trying to understand how this got started. Also want to draw your attention to another story that we continue to try to understand here and make sense of, which is a 12-year-old has been charged in an accidental killing. That 12-year-old is facing involuntary manslaughter charges after police say a gun accidentally went off and shot and killed a 22-year-old man Wednesday night. Now, that juvenile is now facing involuntary manslaughter charges, and police believe the gun used in this crime was linked to additional crimes. The victim's mother is heartbroken, as you might imagine, and she says that when this all happened, the Gates family, and Aquarius Gates is the 22-year-old who was killed, but the Gates family is telling our Angelique Proctor, a reporter who spoke to them, that the 12-year-old was in a group of people at an apartment Wednesday night, and they were handling a gun when the family says that the 22-year-old told the 12-year-old to put the gun down. As that 12-year-old put the gun down, police say it accidentally discharged, striking Gates and then ultimately killing him. We were trying to understand how this unfolded and were able to get this information from both police and the Gates family. But they also said that the police captain involved says he believes at this point this is a tragic accident that never should have happened. But adding to this, police are also trying to figure out how a 12-year-old got this gun in the first place, because that gun was already on their radar. Captain Jeremy Butler with LaGrange Police Department says that this 9mm handgun has been linked to other criminal activity. Though he did not provide further details, they're trying to trace the weapon to get more information. So we'll continue to keep you updated on this developing story. But I'd also like to let you guys know where we stand with funding for our TSA agents, because as of this point, I've just gotten a live update from the Associated Press that the House Speaker has rejected a Homeland Security funding bill that was passed by the Senate early this morning. So House Speaker Mike Johnson in a news conference said that the Senate passed bill is a, quote, joke, and he plans to vote on an alternative. House Speaker Mike Johnson says they plan to do something different, challenging the Senate to take up the House's continuing resolution, assuming it does pass the House, which is uncertain. But you guys, here's the problem with all of this. Senators have already left town for their recess that is about to start here soon for the spring recess. And so if the House ends up passing a different measure than the one that cleared the Senate early this morning, it could take some time for senators to come back and vote on another piece of legislation. So this is problematic as we try to get our TSA agents funded again. The measure the Senate passed did fund not only TSA agents, but also the Cybersecurity Agency, other parts of the Department of Homeland Security like Secret Service, FEMA, and the Coast Guard. But as we take a look at this, there were some guardrails that Democrats had been seeking that they didn't get, like no masks for agents and stopping raids, ICE raids around sensitive areas like schools and churches. No matter what happens in the House, President Donald Trump has said he's going to sign an emergency resolution using emergency funds from the One Big Beautiful Bill. It was the same thing he did to pay the military during the last government shutdown last year. But so far, the president has not signed that piece of legislation, so it is really unclear as to when we're going to see our TSA agents and other government workers get their paychecks. I do know that senators were reacting to this legislation and talking a little bit about it after it passed early this morning. So let's listen to what senators had to say.
In the wake of the murders of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, Senate Democrats were clear: no blank check for a lawless ICE and Border Patrol. This long overdue agreement funds TSA, the Coast Guard, FEMA, CISA, strengthens security at the border and the ports of entry, and keeps Americans safe. This could have been accomplished weeks ago if Republicans hadn't stood in the way. Democrats held firm in our opposition that Donald Trump's rogue and deadly militia should not get more funding without serious reforms, and we will continue to fight for those reforms. I'm very proud of our Democratic caucus. Throughout it all, Senate Democrats stood united, no wavering, no backing down. We held the line.
Mr. President, President Trump recently announced that he has found a way to provide relief for tens of thousands of TSA officers currently working without pay. And thanks to his actions, the money to pay them will start flowing immediately. I'm grateful, and I suspect that every American traveler will be grateful, that the President has found a way to address the terrible situation at U.S. airports and finally give TSA officers the pay that they're owed.
So that was Senate Majority Leader John Thune speaking about what President Trump plans to do, which as soon as we learn that the president has signed that order, we'll continue to keep you updated. This is you take a live look at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Just about an hour ago, our Tara Jabor was there at the airport live, and it did not seem like lines were really long or stressful this Friday afternoon. So if you have a flight to catch today, that is good to know as of right now. As we switch gears here, I want to let you know about the latest with the war in Iran, because the United States appears to be preparing for a ground offensive. And this comes as President Trump is extending the deadline for peace. But we are 24 days into Operation Epic Fury, and the president is now trying a dual track to end the conflict. On Thursday, Trump says negotiations are going well, and he's extended his deadline for Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians are telling a different story. They say there have been no talks, and they're still considering the president's 15-point peace plan. However, officials in Israel are threatening to, quote, escalate and expand their attacks on regime targets. And the Pentagon is reportedly preparing to deploy 10,000 more service members to the Middle East. It's not clear what their role there would be, but many are suspecting it would give the president leverage as he negotiates with Iran. Iran doesn't seem to show any signs of backing down. Missiles continue to strike Gulf neighbors, and ships are still being targeted within the Strait of Hormuz, prompting new tactics from the White House, like naval escorts for ships heading through the strait. President Trump says Iran must now reopen that strait by April 6th. So we'll keep you updated if that happens. But one thing we're keeping an eye on as we take a look at the impacts of this war with Iran is some of the environmental and health impacts. And that's because the escalating conflict is triggering some of this, that researchers are now warning consequences of the war could last decades in terms of our health and health to the environment. A UK-based nonprofit, Conflict and Environmental Observatory, is working with remote satellite technology. They're taking a look at the damage connected to this fighting. Because of continued fighting, a lot of data still needs to be gathered here. But so far, the group has documented, quote, more than 400 environmentally concerning incidents. These environmental and health hazards primarily affect those living across the Middle East. But scientists say we could all feel the impacts here soon because flames from blasted oil and gas facilities have sent toxins into the air. This combines with water droplets in the atmosphere, and this could cause acidic rain to fall. Soot and ash from steady missile barrages also create worsening air quality levels, and debris from impact zones from destroyed ships in and around the Strait of Hormuz could send soil and water contaminants into the food that we eat. So scientists are warning as well that the manufacturing of some of these new weapons are also contributing to problems because of the heavy amounts of fossil fuels. So overall, they're taking a look at the holistic picture, and they say the impacts of the war could last for quite some time. Meanwhile, according to estimates from carbon accounting company Greenfly, the U.S. alone released roughly 2 billion metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions just 6 days into the war. So this is something that we continue to follow here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom as we try to understand what the consequences of this could look like. But one consequence of the war with Iran could be changing values and attitudes as we take a look at the November midterm elections. And Republicans, of course, are going to be trying to maintain their majorities in both the House and the Senate. But one thing that the war is doing is giving voters another issue to consider as they mark their ballots this fall. So Fox's Asher Red came here to Norcross, Georgia, and he spoke to a lot of Republican voters, and he found that many were divided over Operation Epic Fury. And it sounds like, according to the Republicans he spoke with, some are really divided and feeling that the Republican Party might be losing traction with its base. According to a new Fox News poll, for example, support for U.S. strikes in Iran are starting to slip, with just 42% of voters approving the strikes and 58% being opposed. The poll further shows the president is facing overall job disapproval rating for both terms. And when we look at this, that's because 59% of voters disapprove of President Trump's job performance overall, while 41% approve, according to that poll. And it's really voters in suburban Atlanta who have started to notice that this support is waning. For example, Fox's Asher Red spoke with Charles Kay, who lives in Norcross, and Mr. Kay told Fox's Asher Red that he says he knows a lot of people who are Trump supporters who are concerned and also feel that this is going to have implications for Republicans in the midterm elections. If you're wondering why this matters, suburban towns and swing states like Georgia could be crucial in deciding the balance of power in Congress, because over the last decade, cities like Norcross have become more competitive with their base. And Georgia was a reliably Republican state for years until President Biden won Georgia in 2020. And now President Trump won the state in last year's election, or rather 2024's election, by only 2 points. So it's an issue we're continuing to follow closely as we try to get a sense of voters' priorities upcoming in November. So this is something we're going to keep you guys updated on here. But as we continue, I'm taking a look at our time and taking a look out at some sneak peeks of where we are headed here at 3 o'clock. And our next stop is going to be Truist Park, where meteorologist Jonathan Stacy is going to give us an update as to our weather forecast for opening day. You're taking a live look there at the ballpark. So if you got plans this evening with friends, family, looks like a beautiful day, but I've heard it might be warm. So we're going to get the scoop with Jonathan Stacy coming up next. Welcome back in, you guys. You're taking a live look at Truist Park as we gear up for opening day with Braves baseball, their 60th season, and taking on the Kansas City Royals this evening. So maybe you're headed out to the ballpark tonight with your friends, with your family, and you're wondering what's the weather going to be like. Well, meteorologist Jonathan Stacy is standing by to give us just that answer. And Jonathan, I've heard that it's actually a little toasty out there. What say you?
We have reached all the way into the 80s once more. This is the second day in the row of temperatures rising above average after we were a bit cold stunned or cool stunned earlier this week. But what a better way to kick off a summertime sport with some summertime temperatures. And guess what? The way the folks are dressed out here, it definitely reflects the season, not that is, but the season that is to come in the way of summer. Let's go ahead and tip over the edge here. We're high up above the Battery, and you can see here folks have came out for some baseball on this, the 27th day of March, as we get ready for our home opener here as the Braves take on the Kansas City Royals. Temperatures have been off the chain, and guess what? These folks are really vibing here. Now, there is a bit of a saving grace, if you will, because we actually had a front pass through the area, and as the front comes through, it's throwing out some clouds, and we need those clouds to keep the sun from striking us and causing the heat to be rather sweltering. And it's also another component that you may not be able to notice right away, but you will definitely notice before the night is all said and done, and that is the wind. Winds are coming in out of the north and the west. I told you a cold front is sneaking through the area. What it does on its backside will be rather noticeable. Gusts could kick up to some 30 miles an hour. I oftentimes tell people that whenever you come here to the Battery, this is a textbook case of what a wind tunnel is. You stand right there as you make the walk into Truist Park, and those winds sometimes can blow you over. You're talking about wind gusts up to 45, 50 miles an hour right in that wind tunnel there. But as those winds start to kick up, we're going to cool things down, but I think we'll be able to get the game in without any problems. Temperatures starting out in the lower 80s around 7 o'clock, 7:15. It's first pitch, 81 degrees, and then we will gently fall down and through the 70s, and then we'll end up with 60s before we all head home tonight. If you're a reveler, you're out and about, you may notice that there will be a slight tweak in the atmosphere as that cold front continues to slide through. It's pushing in some cooler air, and that cooler air may just work in the favor of whoever is hitting. Listen to me here, folks. We have a northwesterly wind with gusts that could top some 30 miles an hour. Generally sustained winds are some 15 to 20 miles per hour. The orientation of the diamond here at Truist Park is to the south and the east. And so if the hitter is there, the ball comes to the hitter, he strikes the ball, that northwesterly push, standing looking southeasterly, will give the ball an extra if you will. So it's favorable for the hitter. I won't call that home field advantage, but that's definitely some meteorology as we do some inside baseball here. Nonetheless, we hope the winds really start to kick up when the Braves are up to hit, and not so much when the Kansas City Royals go to the batter's mound. Nonetheless, all that said, we're here to have a great time. If you are a warm weather fan and you're trying to think, okay, I want to get out for this homestand, am I going to do today, or am I going to do Saturday or even Sunday? Today, without a doubt, is the best of the bets. Absolutely. We're 81 at first pitch today. By Saturday, this time tomorrow, we're going to shave some 15 degrees off the temperature. We're going to keep that wind out of the north going, and it's going to be brisk out here. I will not be out here in short sleeves if I were coming out tomorrow. It's going to be one of those days. It's going to feel very spring-like. Sunday, the winds may soften up a bit, but it could still be breezy at times, and temperatures around 130 are going to be trying to crack the 60-degree threshold. So it feels like summer today. We'll take a step back into spring tomorrow. Ariel?
Jonathan, I am looking forward to some of those cooler temperatures, but nice that maybe we get them for our first opening day here with the Braves. I also have to say, I love inside baseball Jonathan, okay? He is a different breed. He's got his little chain popping, the glasses are off, the guns are showing, much like the temperatures rising, okay? So I see you, Jonathan. I see you're ready to have a good time for Braves opening day.
And that's the only thing you can do when you are out here, because I tell you, it's lit. You can probably hear the guys down there. They're getting the crowd all revved up. One of my favorite parts about pregame baseball here at Truist and at the Battery is when the heavy hitters come out. So I'll be listening closely, because I love when they come out and they bring out the drum line. It is a whole vibe. They come out in true Atlanta fashion. So I'll be looking and listening for them in short order. And you know how I roll. I may get out there and cut a step or something like that. So if I'm running late at 4 o'clock, you know why.
Jonathan, if you're on the drum line, that's not my business. That's just for me to sit back and for all of us to enjoy, okay? So whether, a little step, we're going to enjoy it. We're going to enjoy Braves baseball. Kansas City Royals versus the Atlanta Braves. Jonathan, we'll see you back here at 4 o'clock. As always, complete pleasure speaking with you. Have some fun. Not too much fun, but have some fun, Jonathan.
We'll see you there. Oh, no, we're going to have a whole lot of fun. We're going to have a little, and then we're going to do a W at the end. So
I love it. I love it. All right, Jonathan, thank you so much. Live from the Battery there at Truist Park. Okay, guys, let's continue on, because we have some other scientific stories to get to that I want to draw your attention to as we continue here at 3 o'clock. And that is, there's a big fight over data centers as it relates to artificial intelligence. The United States is putting all of its chips on the table to be the dominant AI superpower, but some legislatures have concerns we're moving too quickly and giving big tech too much power in this process. Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have introduced a new bill to pump the brakes on AI. It would pause all new construction of AI data centers until safeguards are in place. The progressive political voices are warning Americans that big tech does not have their best interest in mind. Not all of the Democrats agree with this, though. Some say they don't think it's going to stop the march of AI, and that genie is already out of the bottle. Hungry for more processing power to handle all of our AI needs, big tech is now paying big bucks for land to build out data centers. Some communities are pushing back about higher power bills and more pollution. For example, a Kentucky family recently made headlines after they turned down a whopping $26 million offer to sell their farmland to build a massive new data center campus. The White House has gone all in on AI as the next big thing, and they're trying to downplay concerns about potential drawbacks. The president had said that electricity prices will not go up for AI data centers to move into communities, but some residents have said that's not what they're seeing. We know that U.S. energy demand could triple over the next decade because of AI, and President Trump has pushed to build more power plants to meet that demand. So we're going to continue to keep you updated on that, because many of these power plants we've seen are coming here to the state of Georgia. I also want to let you know that in positive health news, a rising use of plastic worldwide has been exposing us to higher levels of micro and nanoplastics. It can have an impact on our health and our environment. So microplastics as small as a red blood cell and nanoplastics even smaller can only be seen with a powerful microscope. But one team at Florida Polytechnic University has come up with a new method to find these microplastics, and they're trying to detect them because, as many of you know, the conventional methods of detecting plastics can be really hard. So the team developed a modified electrochemical sensor that detects the presence of nano and microplastics using just a drop of water. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes for the data to pop up on your smartphone, and that data can then be quickly used and shared out into the field. The research team's work earned them a U.S. patent and a publication in an international journal. Take a listen to what the scientists have to say about this.
We have investigated microplastic in air, water, and food. And as a human, I consume all these three. And science has demonstrated the presence of microplastic in our human body. And not only that, their side effect on health has been reported by so many countries.
When it's made with the molecule that we want to detect already implemented into it, we can then remove that molecule, and then it can be used, this sensor can be used to detect our target analyte at the parts per trillion level, just using a single drop of water.
I've always known about the dangers of microplastics and how the environment needs saving, and so just being a part of an initiative to push that type of technology to make a change is really great and feels awesome.
So many other companies which are very much focused, so many agencies who are very much focused on water quality based research, they can use this technology.
Well, the team is also working on using this technology to detect other things like testosterone in saliva and PFAs, which is another huge health concern. So really interesting research to follow along with. But keeping along our technology train of thought here this afternoon, right now around 3 o'clock, let's continue with this, okay? So if you're looking for someone who always tells you yes, artificial intelligence chatbots seem to be the way to go. Computer scientists at Stanford University found that AI large language models are overall agreeable when users ask for advice on personal matters. And the study's lead author says, quote, by default, AI advice does not tell people that they're wrong, nor does it give them, quote, tough love. Researchers are growing concerned by these AI models because they always seem to affirm users' choices, even when they show illegal or harmful behavior. Roughly a third of teens in the United States have reportedly used an AI chatbot for serious conversations rather than reaching out to a human. So the study's authors are really calling for stricter regulations in order to prevent, quote, unsafe models from popping up. And the findings, if you want to read more about this, appear in the journal Science. So you can find out more there. As we continue here at 3 o'clock, you guys, we are going to take you back out to the ball field. We're going to go live to the Battery where our Eli Jordan is going to take us around to show us what festivities are happening if you and your family are headed out this evening. That's coming out next. Welcome back in, you guys. I just got a breaking update that President Donald Trump has just signed an order to pay Transportation Security Administration employees as soon as Monday. This money is going to come from the One Big Beautiful Bill, emergency funds that were set aside within that bill. And this deal is seeking to pay those workers after a deal just stalled in Congress. An hour earlier, House Speaker Mike Johnson rejected a bill passed by the Senate to fund TSA and most of Homeland Security, and that's because House House Republicans were angry that the Senate's measure did not fund Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Border Patrol. Democrats have refused to fund these agencies without changes to immigration enforcement practices, and senators have already left town since passing that bill early this morning, so it's going to take time for them to return if the House ends up passing a different measure than the one the Senate cleared. But as of now, the president has signed that order in order to fund our TSA workers as soon as Monday. So we'll keep you updated on that. But let's get out to the Battery, where our Eli Jordan is standing by to give us an update on all things baseball. Eli, a lot of excited people coming in for opening day, and it's so wonderful to see everyone who travels and makes this an annual tradition with their families.
Yes, it is. It's really cool. There's a lot of people out here and all that. And I actually bought a little bit of something. I bought 1.5 pounds of pralines, Ariel. There's a fudge shop here, and they had a special 1.5 pounds of pralines, the River Street Sweets. Yeah, I was there live at 11. I was like, I'm coming back for some pralines. But yeah, it's really cool out here. They got a lot of stuff going on, especially for the 60th year of the Atlanta Braves in Atlanta. Go Braves, yeah! And so, you know, they get, tonight, Joe Torre is going to be making the first pitch. He'll be here. Dale Murphy's going to be here. Chipper Jones is going to be here. They've done a lot of the little upgrades around here too. Here at Truist Park, you know, they got BravesVision.com or Braves Vision now. You can watch Braves streaming when you're not watching us streaming. And they're also going to have a really cool theme night. They're going to try and treat their Friday nights like block parties here at the Battery. And you know, they're going to have a theme nights Friday on Friday games, 80s nights, Star Wars night, Patriot Day. Friday night fireworks. But one really cool thing, though, you know, the Battery's rather new, and they don't have everything, you know, at least several years old. But one thing that has made a big difference, of course, you know, we got the Battery back here, but over here, to get inside the Battery, this is a new walkway. I just mentioned this earlier, and I think this is going to be really key to helping keep the traffic moving around Truist Park, but also helping get people inside Truist Park, because this is on the southeast side of the stadium. You know, a lot of people park back here. This is on the outfield side of the stadium, and this is a brand new pedestrian bridge that really makes a big difference. You know, last year we all had to walk down there and walk across the street and hopefully not get run over by a bunch of traffic, but now we have this, which will get you to and from. You can see the outfield right there, and then this is the bridge, and this is going to make a very big difference for people getting to and from the stadium. This year, it's brand new, and I'm actually impressed because it's always been tough to get across this street because we park over on this side a lot, and so you can see where park on this side over here. There's a lot of parking over here and back over here, and there's the stadium and this new bridge. I'm really impressed, and when you do, you go walking right on in, and it takes you directly into the Battery here at Truist Park, right behind the performance stage that they have. So it gets you right on in there. You don't have to walk up any steps to get up there. You don't have to walk through the entrance of these hotels around here. So it makes a really big difference when you park over here on the other side of 75 Circle, just outside of Truist Park on the southeast end, outside the outfield area. So that's what's really cool out here. Otherwise, they're getting ready to crank some things up, get going for this game against the Kansas City Royals. 60 years here in Atlanta, and it's going to be a humdinger with this good weather. It's perfect weather for it. This is almost storybook, and everybody's excited to finally have a season opener, home opener here in Atlanta for the first time in several years. And you can't get any better weather than this, and this is what it's all about when it comes to baseball in Atlanta. Here for the Braves, and the Battery here has just been looking good.
Picturesque day there at Truist Park. It's great to see. I hear the announcers as they're gearing up. Families, everybody's out there playing. Also love the tour of the new walkway. I mean, seriously, that is so cool and such a good place to be able to get in. I see right where you were. That that is an excellent thing for people to have because, yeah, you can just walk through there. And I see people here in our TikTok chat saying great idea. So I feel like if you're a longtime Truist Park goer, Braves baseball fan, you know right where this is. And it's probably something that you'll be looking forward to taking advantage of. So, Eli, anything else real quick of note? Any new businesses that might have opened at the Battery? I feel like earlier I heard you run through some of them. Curious if you know of any changes for this year of baseball.
Let's see. I'm not sure about. I haven't really hung out. I know that Concessions has some new foods. They got like the Low Country Crunch, and they also got the Peach Dinger. A-Town Melt sounds like a patty melt if you ask me, and the Bat Flip, the Walk Off, and the Field of Greens. I bet you that's a salad. The Field of Greens. But April 28th they're going to have Snoopy bobbleheads. April 28th, bobbleheads are real, popular. And July 21st, Spider-Man bobbleheads. Okay. And that's pretty much what I got going on right here. I know there's going to be a lot of other things going on. So just come on out here and enjoy it. It's perfect weather. Got a whole weekend for it. And it's going to be a blast. You're going to have Friday night fireworks, and they're just really doing it up. A lot of people said they're glad, they're happy about what's going on out here at the Battery. They said they seem to listen to the fans and adjusting and tweaking things and really making the adjustments to make it a really good, fun, interactive place for the whole family to enjoy and have a great time. Because these people have been out here all day enjoying themselves. Yeah. And what a better way to spend a beautiful Friday than out here.
Eli, well, thanks for giving us a look there from the Battery. Enjoy your pralines. Bring me back some. Those sound delicious. I'll let you go.
You know it.
All right, guys, let's continue on here because we're talking about opening day here at Truist Park. And I want to tell you about something else that is happening this weekend. Dozens of No Kings protests are planned for this weekend. So giving you the heads up now in case you're planning to get around our city, because this is going to happen across Atlanta, Marietta, Roswell, Smyrna, Sandy Springs, Conyers, and Athens, among others. The No Kings rallies, in case you're unfamiliar, is part of a nationwide movement that opposes policies under President Donald Trump. And organizers say the rallies are really a coordinated effort with more than 2,000 events planned nationwide. They expect millions of people to participate. But at this protest tomorrow would mark the third major No Kings demonstration against the Trump administration. And big issues that they plan to highlight are immigration, health care, elections, and others. So on our website, fox5atlanta.com, we have a full list of some of these rallies and where they're planned. I wish I could tell you, oh, they're happening mainly in the morning or happening at a certain time, but truly they are spread throughout the day. In McDonough, I know there's one for 12:30 in the afternoon. Here in Atlanta, it's planned for downtown with a march around the state capitol at 10 a.m. And I see other rallies like one planned in Fayetteville around 4 p.m. So truly throughout the day tomorrow, we're going to be seeing these rallies happen. So best to check our website for a full list of the cities and places where these rallies will be happening. Just so you know, there could be potential road blockages or delays. In the meantime, here in Atlanta, APD is sending out additional officers to make sure that things remain peaceful and safe for those who are planning to make their voices heard tomorrow. So wanted to let you guys know about that here. One more story I want to quickly tell you guys about involves a new effort from the State Department to focus on threats related to artificial intelligence. The State Department is so concerned about threats from rapidly accelerating technologies that Secretary Marco Rubio is now creating a State Department bureau to protect Americans from these threats and to focus exclusively on them. In fact, the State Department says this change could be one of the most important things the Trump administration does. Iran recently used AI-generated satellite imagery to falsely claim damage to the United States Navy's Fifth Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. And last month, the United States actually raised alarm bells that Iran may have used advanced electronic warfare to down a $220 million U.S. Navy drone over the Strait of Hormuz. So there's further concern as well that AI could be used to shape narratives around war and what people believe to be true. So this is something that they're concerned about. And another U.S. adversary, China, is now using AI to reconstruct B-2 stealth bombers' flight paths, track carrier strike groups in real time, and collect data on American lawmakers. So the top White House cybersecurity official says that the private sector, it's not their job to protect Americans from these threats, but rather it is the federal government's responsibility. And so this is something that is a big priority across the Trump administration. So we're going to continue to keep you updated on this new bureau and how things are going to progress in real time. But in the meantime here, coming up, we're going to continue to keep you updated on some stories we're following here at Fox 5 Atlanta. Going to tell you about some prices that are increasing at Netflix, and would like to let you listen in from some Braves players and managers on what to look forward to with this upcoming season. That's straight ahead. Welcome back in, you guys. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here. We have a breaking story we're following, and I'm just learning about it, so we don't have video just yet, but I want to let you know that Tiger Woods, golf player, has been involved in a rollover crash in Florida. Another crash, this one on Jupiter Island, according to police. That is an island located on the southeastern side of Florida, north of West Palm Beach. But according to the Martin County Sheriff's Office, this crash happened just after 2 o'clock, and it appears to be a residential street along Florida's Atlantic coast. The sheriff's office is investigating, and they're trying to figure out what happened here. We don't know any details on the circumstances of the crash, but the Martin County Sheriff's Office is expected to provide an update around 5 o'clock this evening. This is, of course, something that we're closely watching, considering how Tiger Woods was hurt in a rollover crash that happened previously. And now that this has happened again, we're going to stay tuned. So as we get more information, we will let you know. But as we continue here, it is time for opening day at Truist Park for the Atlanta Braves. And our Justin Felder gives us a sneak peek as to what to expect. Check it out.
The feeling, you get the good butterflies, just nice adrenaline rush, and you kind of pinch yourself for a second. Always a great feeling.
Opening day it's like Christmas Day, but being able to do it at home in front of your home ballpark, not getting booed when they're announcing your name. It's always much nicer.
You feel a little something. I mean, even coming in today for this workout, you start feeling it. I think it's good. I think if you don't have that feeling, you should hang them up to be able to have it here in front of the fans. It'll be a fun little drive-in tomorrow.
The Braves hope to give their fans reason to dance like their WBC champ. Ronald Acuna Jr. will lead off for the offense. Chris Sale will get the ball Friday night on the mound. Now, pitching's been a big question throughout the spring about everybody not named Chris Sale, but the veteran says give the young guys a chance.
You know, everybody had to start somewhere. You know, there was a day, you know, Greg Maddux had 0 pitches thrown in the big leagues, and then he became who he was. Now, we're not all going to be him, and everyone has to start their story somewhere. We got some young, exciting guys. We got some guys that, you know, have been around a little bit. You know, I think all in all, we're all confident with who we're going with.
Steering the ship will be Walt Weiss, his first game as manager, a moment he says he's been imagining since being named the Braves skipper.
There'll be moments where I can take it in, but you know, it's time to go. This team's about as ready as we could be, judging from the energy and the vibes and the focus. And yeah, I think if you don't have butterflies, probably need to check yourself.
Well, really exciting stuff as we look ahead to this evening. Braves taking on the Kansas City Royals. One final story for you guys as you take a live look at Truist Park, because I know a lot of you are looking at this on fox5atlanta.com and talking about it. Netflix is bumping their subscription prices once again. Subscription with ads is going up from $8.99 a month by $1, and ad-free subscriptions are now going up $2 a month to $19.99 and $26.99. The company hiked their prices last year in January, and they say that they're going to continue to raise prices as they lean heavily into live events like sporting events, video podcasts, and some other original content. So wanted to touch base with you on that, as I know a lot of you guys are talking about the price raise yet again. So as we continue here, gearing up for 4 o'clock, the news is just about to begin. We're going to have more coming from the Truist Park as we gear up for the Braves' 60th opening here. We'll have more for you. Onstad, thanks so much for being with me at 3 o'clock.
Fox 5 News at 4 starts right now.
An incident inside the Clayton County Jail ends with 3